Chapter 987. You can't escape this time. Chapter 987. You can't escape this time. In these 3 years, no one dared to disrespect the God Emperor Academy. No one dared to resist the palace question of God. In the God Emperor's city, they were gods, the masters, and no one dared to resist. But today, so what if it was the Divine Emperor? So what if you're a God Emperor Academy? The clan elders of the palace question of God were as good as dead. Thus, the fitted realm elder had only asked one question. Who are you? When he heard the 2 words Long Fei, his body faintly shivered and his forehead turned sinister. He stared at Long Fei and said, Impossible. Long Fei has already been killed by the supreme god, and he can't possibly still be alive. No one who was beaten up in Deathland could escape. It was also impossible for Long Fei. Long Fei looked at the shocked Fairy Hall elder and said, Return and tell Supreme God to wash his but clean. Tomorrow, I will cripple his chrysanthemum. Now scram. 3 years' time. He must take revenge. When he returned to the God Emperor's city, the first thing he did was to blow the hell out of the Supreme God. Although he wasn't confident, he had to do it. How dare you? The moment the fitted realm's elder became angry, the aura on his body started rolling around like a raging ocean. The guard behind him were all blasted away. Fitted realm, one with 10,000 forces. This kind of power could only be unleashed by the fitted realm. One could fuse a type of power with 10,000 different types of power and cultivate it to the peak of the realm. This was the power of the fitted realm. Long Fei was almost unable to bear it. His body trembled. The power of the fitted realm was too dense. Kid, even if you come back, so what? Golden immortal rank? Then you have to kneel down. In his fury, the combined power of celestial on his body created enormous waves over 30,000 meters, heavily smashing on his Xiang Longfei. At the same time, his figure moved and slapped Xiang Longfei's head with a palm as he howled out in a heavy tone. Die! His strength was incomparably violent. Fat Man Chin blocked the attack with a step, but Long Fei pulled him back. He smiled and said, Is your fitted realm awesome? Is your palace question of God awesome? I'll see just how amazing you are. Galen, the great sword killed him in an instant. Without saying a word, Long Fei summoned Galen straight away. He did not want to waste time with him. So Long Fei did not have much interest in this little boss. But some people just like to be despicable, and if you don't F***K in the future, he will not know that you are his father. Long Fei ran over to ask him to deliver a message to the Supreme God. However, since he likes to be lowly, then he might as well go to hell. The fire had started. Death Knight, Galen dropped from the sky. Other than that, a beam of Demacia justice descended from the sky, and like a laser beam, it bombarded the head of the Hesian powerhouse. Galen roared. The Hesian powerhouse immediately disappeared from his original location. It vanished into thin air. A damaged figure floated above his head. 120389231. It was more than 100 million points of critical damage. How powerful was this? The 6 Infinity Sword S were brainless, and violent. Long Fei became excited and said, Damn it, this is awesome. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Fairy Hall Elder for obtaining 120,000 experience, 10,000 power of celestial points, 10 energy values points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Immortal Crystal 321. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special reward. The reward is Holy Artillery. Another Holy Artillery? Long Fei's heart trembled. He was secretly excited. Holy Artillery, this kind of thing, was the better. Right now, he needed this kind of hot weapon, and he had even used the energy of the immortal crystals to release the cannonball. When will he be able to test his power? Long Fei wanted to know its power. Say an artifact. What level of power did it reach? The system's description stated that it dealt over 10 stars of damage, but he had never seen anything like that before. Galen, go back. Long Fei withdrew his idea and summoned Galen back. At this moment, Fat Min Shun was stunned. The people behind Long Fei were all dumbstruck. Even a powerhouse of the fitted realm was killed in an instant. How powerful was this? That greatsword technique was the judge's work for the Yama King. With one big tick, you're going to see the king of hell. It was too terrifying, afraid that they wouldn't even dare to move. Long Fei did not continue to kill. He needed people now. They needed someone to fight against the Magic Tribe's army. His current manpower was simply insufficient. An army of 1,000,000 soldiers, not just a few hundred or even 1,000. Once the power of such an army erupted, even the gods and ghosts would not be able to withstand it. Right now, the only line of defense for Immortal Domain was that of God Emperor City. Once it was breached, the Immortal Domain would sink into hell and become a river of blood. None of this is the point. With the hatred the Master of Magic Tribe had towards the Long family, he would definitely attack them. This was what Long Fei was worried about. Thus, Immortal Domain absolutely cannot fail. Long Fei's voice sank, and he said, "If you want to go against me, Long Fei die. All you are well aware of what I did 3 years ago. Now I'm back. If you're still warriors, and you know why you cultivate, and if you still know that you are from the Immortal Domain, and that you still want to protect this city, then pick up the weapons in your hands and prepare to fight against the Magic Tribe's army. Let's go and think about it when we get back." Long Fei did not kill them. He needed the power of Celestial, and the more he killed, the stronger the power would be. However, he was not a killing machine, and in these 3 years, he had learnt to control himself. What he wanted was the life of the Supreme God. The guards looked at each other in dismay, then said heavily, "Many thanks for not killing me." Following that, they slowly withdrew from the room. The fat Minchin did not understand, so he asked, "Boss, why did you let them go? These people are all the tumor of the God Emperor's city, evil bullies, relying on their status to do everything they can to kill these scum, I say." Indeed, although it was not as bad as Fat Minchin had said, it was more or less the same. Long Fei had killed 2 Fairy Hall Elderess in a row, and from the immortal crystals that burst from their bodies, Long Fei knew that these people were extremely rich, and that all the money they had was taken from their bodies. Long Fei said, "We'll talk about it when we get back." "You're finally back." Palace Question of God. Within the Supreme God's secret room, looking at Long Fei, who was reflected in the great void mirror, he excitedly laughed. "It's been 3 years. 3 years. I've endured too much pressure. Boy, it's all because of you, and now you've finally returned." 3 years was a very difficult 3 years for Long Fei and the others. It was the same for his Supreme God, because, for the past 3 years, he had been constantly enduring the crushing pressure of Grand Elder Gu Tongtian. This master of his had completely changed. It became violent and bloodthirsty. Of course, this was all because his lifespan was only 2 years away, and Long Fei's disappearance caused him to feel extremely uneasy. Now that Long Fei has returned, the corner of Supreme God's mouth slightly hooked up. "I regretted not killing you back then, but this time, you won't be able to escape." Chapter 988 Joint. Chapter 988. Joint time was changing. Everything was changing. The human heart was also changing. These 3 years were a type of torture for Supreme God, because Gu Tongtian continuously pressured him. He clenched his teeth and endured. Anyone who succeeded in making a big deal out of this would have to tolerate the pressure of an ordinary person. He endured everything, was to wait for Long Fei's return. If Long Fei died, Gu Tongtian's last hope would be shattered. Then he could only wait for his death. 3 years. For a whole 3 years, the Supreme God had been waiting for Long Fei to come out of the Deathland all the time. The stronger the pressure Gu Tongtian exerted on him, the more hatred he had towards Long Fei. At the same time, at Western Desil territory, in the Blood Sea Pool. This was a blood sea pool that was created with the blood of millions of virgins. In the center of the blood pool, the blood lotus Zen sat on top of it. Master of Magic Tribe stared at it, and his entire person became excited in an instant. "What did you say? The kid from Long family is not dead yet." "Ha ha!" Master of Magic Tribe started to laugh crazily. The blood in the blood sea started to boil and surge. The sound he made was stirred up The vengeful spirit was trembling in fear and started to moan in fear. It's good that he didn't die. It's good that he didn't die. If he didn't die, he could open the ha-ha. It was the same for Western Devil Lord. His lifespan was also coming soon, and to a powerhouse of the flying fairyland, there was nothing more terrifying than the fact that his lifespan was running out. Everyone was afraid of death. The more powerhouse he was, the more he was afraid of death. Flying fairyland, 500 years of life. Unless you transcend tribulation and leap, no one can break through the shackles. Passing the tribulation and rising, fighting the heavens, countless of powerhouses were turned into ashes by the heavenly energy. In 10 million years, no one in the gods' martial continent had succeeded who could fight against the heavens. No one. If the heavens wanted you dead, even God would not be able to stop you. Thus, from beginning to end, they had never once thought of transcending heavenly tribulation. They had never stopped searching for secrets of longevity. Dragon race, a powerful race from another realm. Their lifespan was not restricted by the laws of the gods' martial continent. They had unparalleled physical bodies with lifespan that was inexhaustible even after millions of years. This was a legend that had been passed down for millions of years. To others, it might be a legend, but to a high-ranking powerhouse like Gu Tong Tian, it was not a legend, but rather their lifesaver, something that was also a fact. As long as Open Secret Realm could find the art of immortality, then they could have an unlimited lifespan and live on forever. There is nothing more tempting than being alive. As long as he was alive, give up on anything. Western Devil Lord laughed excitedly. Old demon, let's do it like we said before. In the void, a big face said with a light smile, the secret world that leads to immortality has me and you. We will be the strongest people in the gods' martial continent for the past 10 million years. Ha ha. Western Devil Lord also laughed loudly. Long Fei is back. Have you heard? Long Fei returned after disappearing for 3 years. Fighting against God Emperor Academy, beheading the principal of 18 matrial halls in anger, and killing 8 fairy hall elderess. Long Fei is a hero in my heart. After Long Fei, there will never be another God Emperor Academy, and it will be the same for Palace Question of God as well. Long Fei gives us ordinary warriors hope. The Nantian elixir has changed our fates. I want to follow him. I'll go too. Me too. In the streets and alleys, the entire God Emperor city was talking about Long Fei. Long Fei, who had disappeared for 3 years, once again returned to the God Emperor city. These 3 years, God Emperor Academy had pained everyone and no longer had the spirit of the first academy. God Emperor Academy was like a brutal monarch, constantly crushing everything in his path. All of the mortal domains, large and small families, all of the sects had to provide their services. These 3 years, the God Emperor Academy was hateful to others. Long Fei's appearance ignited a trace of hope in their hearts. The horn of rebellion was about to blow. God's Phoenix Pavilion. All the streets and alleys are talking about you. Right now, tens of thousands of warriors are gathered outside of God's Phoenix Pavilion. They are all here to rely on you. Fu Tianlong was extremely excited. In these 3 years, it was his happiest day, and he had never been as happy as he was now. Fu Shishan said slightly, "This is only the first day, and is still in the God Emperor city. In a few days, more and more people will come to rely on you. Long Fei, you are their hero in their hearts. Everyone is waiting to attack the God Emperor Academy to overthrow their tyrant." Everyone was looking forward to it. Everyone in the courtyard was excited as they looked at Long Fei with anticipation. They were waiting for Long Fei's order. As long as Long Fei gave the order, they would be the first to rush towards the God Emperor Academy, crushing all the lofty and insufferable elders and principal into pieces. Long Fei chewed on the big pig leg without saying a word. Fu Shishan continued to speak. Long Fei, we have been preparing for the past 3 years that you had disappeared, and every single warrior in the gods' martial continent knew that it was you who had changed their fates. As long as you give the order, I believe that I can summon tens of thousands of warriors to your side and attack the God Emperor Academy without worrying at all. What's more, Fu Shishan was a little agitated as he said, in these past 3 years, we have groomed a total of 100,000 death soldiers, and now we have enough strength to overthrow the God Emperor Academy. They had been preparing for 3 years. From the day Long Fei disappeared, Fu Shishan had been preparing for his return. This day had finally come. Long Fei was startled when he heard about the 100,000 death warriors, a trace of hope igniting in his heart. He put down his pig leg and looked at the people around him, then said, Fatty asked me just now why I let the guards go. I can tell you now. Within 7 days, the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe will attack the God Emperor's city. As soon as his voice faded, Fu Shishan was startled. Xiu Wandao's eyes turned cold and said, Didn't Palace Question of God and Western Magic Tribe discuss this? If we were to transfer the hell the Magic Tribe occupied to the Magic Tribe, why would they suddenly gather a million-strong army and prevent the Magic Tribe from invading any further? They were all a little confused. Were they deceived? Long Fei laughed coldly and said, If you believe in the Palace Question of God, then you might as well believe that there's a ghost in this world. What a powerful person the Supreme God is. If he truly wants to fight against the Magic Tribe's army, then the Magic Tribe's army wouldn't be able to travel tens of millions of kilometers in just 3 short years, burning and looting everything in their way. It's impossible for the God Emperor's city to be like this. The Black Knife asked, Are you saying that these are all condoned by the Supreme God? Long Fei raised his head to look at the sky and said gently, I don't know if he is being lenient or not, but in their eyes, they are gods, and we are only insignificant ants. Even if we were to die, they wouldn't even blink once, let alone cry bitterly. There are no mortals in the world of gods. Chapter 989, 8 King Kong Done. Chapter 989, 8 King Kong Done. His life was like grass, even worse. In that case, he could only rely on himself to protect himself. Relying on the god was useless. He could only rely on himself to carve out a path of blood and break through everything. God was never reliable, not to mention these false gods. Fu Shishan asked, Then what do you want to do now? Long Fei said, We still have at most 7 days. Within these 7 days, I want you all to unite together. As long as the various powers in the God Emperor Academy are linked together, I believe that you can definitely hold against the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe. Fu Shishan frowned. The current God Emperor Academy was too complicated. It was not that they could unite just because they wanted to. Not to mention, in the world of martial artists, all they thought of was themselves. Xiu Wandao said, In the 3 years that you disappeared, many things happened in God Emperor Academy. The Pan family was exterminated, but there were still a few other ancient families that rose to prominence. They quickly established a foothold in the God Emperor city, and I'm afraid it will be very difficult for them to fight against the enemy together. With different hearts and minds, no one would be willing to be pushed around by others, let alone Long Fei. Long Fei exhaled and said, Then how many people can we gather now? Fu Shishan said, We have 100,000 death soldiers. If we add in your call, we can obtain another 100,000. But we do not dare say whether we can control these 100,000 people, and I am worried that other powers will cause trouble. 200,000. They'll be swallowed up by the army of 1,000,000 in an instant. Long Fei's brows tightened even more and said, You guys try your best to recruit as many people as possible. This battle will signify the survival of the immortal domain. Don't rely on the Palace Question of God to make a move. They definitely won't care about our lives. All right, you guys can go and get ready. Black Knife Uncle, Yinner, the two of you come over. The fusion of the Arhook King Kong was already complete. As long as Long Fei made a move, he would be released. The Arhook King Kong was fused with the system. However, this King Kong had already returned to its position, leaving only the Black Knife Uncle. There was only one person left in 8 King Kong. Lightly touched Yinner's forehead and said, Black Knife Uncle, 3 years ago, I promised to heal Yunner's eyes. Actually, I could already achieve this in the Academy's large competition, but I did not, so Yunner was unable to see anything these 3 years. Yunner, I'm sorry. Ancestral Dragon Pill. It was an all-powerful pill. The moment he had successfully refined it, Long Fei knew that this pellet could help Yunner regain her sight. However, at that time, he had been a little selfish, wanting to hand Aoya back to her. Regarding this matter, Long Fei had always blamed himself. Yunner giggled and said, "Big brother Long Fei, I'm fine." It was also at this moment. The system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering the Arrogant Knife King Kong quest. Subdue the Berserker Blade reward. 1 million experience points, 10,000 power of celestial points, 10,000 points special reward. As expected, it really is the Arrogant Knife King Kong. The idea in Long Fei's heart moved and said, "Accepted." The last of the 8 King Kong. As long as the Black Knife returned to their position, the 8 King Kong would be gathered and they would be able to trigger the guild creation token. Then, Long Fei would be able to truly create his own power and true strength. Open the door and establish your sect. Huff! Long Fei took out the ancestral dragon pellet from his bosom and said, "Yunner, if you consume this pellet, you will be able to recover your eyesight." The Black Knife was startled. He recognized this pellet and immediately grabbed Long Fei's hand. "Long Fei, this pellet, it is too precious, an existence that surpasses the 9 dragon pill. He is without question the #1 pill in Immortal Domain, and it is more useful to you. The ancestral dragon pill, a pill that would even cause Fairy Hall Elder to tremble, was too precious." Long Fei said, "Nothing in this world is more important than Yunner's recovery of her eyesight. Black Knife Uncle, I, Long Fei, will definitely accomplish what I promised you." Breaking free from the Black Knife's hands, she placed the pellet into Yunner's hands and said, "Yunner, no matter how precious these pellets are, they are not as important as your eyes. Be obedient and eat this pellet. You will be able to see everything." Yunner's eyes were filled with tears as she cried out, "Big brother Long Fei, thank you." Following that, she swallowed the pill and closed her eyes. The ancestral dragon's power was emanating from her body. The dragon's blood vein power, recovery power, life force, and all kinds of power formed a strong resonance in her body and attacked her own blood vein power again and again. Yunner's eyes were blind because the blood vein's power was too strong. As long as she could break the seal on the blood vein's power, her eyes would be able to recover. The power was attacking. Yunner's body was also trembling. Half a minute later, buzz! Yunner's body began to emit a loud, rumbling sound as it turned crimson. Boom, boom, boom. The force from the door was like a flood, crazily attacking him. Next, Yunner's eyes slowly opened, becoming blurry before they slowly became clear again. She laughed excitedly. "Father, I can see now. Father, I can see now." Then she looked at Long Fei again as she giggled. "Big brother Long Fei, I can see you now, I can see you now. Every single day, I've been thinking about how you look like." He was as happy as a little sparrow. When the Black Knife saw that his daughter had regained her sight, he was so excited that tears flowed down his cheeks. He looked at Long Fei, who was kneeling on one knee, and said, "Long Fei, thank you." Ding! Congratulations, player Long Fei, for completing the Arrogant Knife King Kong mission. You have received 1 million experience, 10,000 power of celestial, and 10,000 points as a reward. Ding! The system begins to score. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining S++ score, for obtaining a special reward of 8 cuts from the Divine Emperor gifting items. Long Fei was slightly stunned and did not appear to be too shocked. He was already satisfied with the Wild Blade's return as he helped the Black Knife up and said, "Uncle, you're one of my 8 King Kong. This is your thing." Finished. He took out the secret manual for the 8 blades of the Divine Emperor. The Black Knife's eyes almost bulged out of its sockets when it saw the 8 blade of the Divine Emperor, and it was completely dazed. This saber art. This is a saber technique that my ancestor passed down. It has already disappeared for millions of years. You. The Black Knife's expression was too excited. Long Fei was also slightly taken aback and said, Your ancestor? Don't tell me you also. The Black Knife smiled slightly and said, I am from ancient family's Huang clan and God's martial continent's second-ranked family. My name is Huang Qi, and my daughter is Huang. In addition, the blood vein that our Huang family inherited is the prophet's blood vein. Chapter 990, Sect System Activation. Chapter 990, Sect System Activation, the second family of ancient family. Huang clan. Long Fei had seen the family rankings before, and the reason why the Huang clan was ranked second was not because of his weak strength and Pan family, but because the Huang clan only had a few people. His blade technique was powerful. However, what was even more terrifying was their judgment of the future. Other than Long Wushan at that time, no one knew the secret of the Huang clan. The blood vein that the Huang clan had inherited was the prophet blood vein. It could sense everything that was happening within a radius of thousands of kilometers. It could know what was happening in the future and could see everything. This was the terror of the Huang clan. The prophet's blood veins were passed down in the Huang clan's women, and the man's words were said to be born with a knife fanaticism. The 8 sabers of the Divine Emperor was a saber technique passed down throughout the Huang clan, a blade technique that had been passed down for countless years. Legend said that it was a blade technique created by the Divine Emperor powerhouse, one that Black Knife yearned for day and night. Long Fei passed the sword technique to him, and the Black Knife revealed her identity without reservation. The Black Knife said slightly, Our Huang family has also suffered under the pressure of the Long family, but Long Wushan didn't do anything to us back then. On the contrary, he helped us cover up the truth, saving our Huang family from disaster. Long Fei, from now on, you are my boss. At this moment, the Black Knife was bringing Long Fei back to being the boss in front of him. The Berserker blade returned to its original position. The system also chimed in. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the 8 King Kong mission. You have obtained a special reward Sect Master Command. Looking at the dragon mark that floated in his mind, Long Fei's mind tensed up. I've finally completed the 8 King Kong mission. Ding! Do you want to establish a sect? Long Fei said without any hesitation. Yes. System notification. Player, please set the sect name. God's Martial Continent. That's called God's Martial Sect. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for establishing God's Martial Sect. Rewards: 10 million experience points, 100,000 power of celestial, 100,000 points special reward. Ding! 8 King Kong is back. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering Sect System to obtain 100 experience, 100 power of celestial, 100 points, and 100 special reward. Ding! Do you want to check the Sect System? Long Fei moved and said check. System name: Sect System. Sect level: 0. Sect number: 9. Can be accepted. 50. Sect experience: 0. Sect contribution: 0. The sect's description: the higher the level, the more people to recruit. The more people to recruit. Seeing all these, Long Fei became excited. My sect, as long as you are my disciple, I can share the experience of their cultivation. Whether it's alchemy, artifact forging, killing, or killing demon beast, I could draw their experience points from the Sect System, or even their proficiency. Yes, this. Long Fei was shocked by the system's description. One person leveling was very slow. What about 100 people for you to level up? 1,000, 1,000, 100 million? The entire plane will level up for you, not just experience. Then there was the alchemy proficiency, the artifact forging proficiency, and even the sacred art that Long Fei was cultivating. All of these could be upgraded through the Sect System. How strong of an existence was this? Just like that. Wah, ka, 8 King Kong mission. Awesome indeed. This was the quest that he had triggered in the Nantian region. It was one of the 3 great missions. Looking for the Dragon Domain, looking for the Elven Race, and the 8 King Kong mission. One of them was done. When Long Fei opened the Sect System, besides him, there were only 8 people. Sect Master, Long Fei, Golden Immortal Stage Level 9, 8 King Kong, Li Yuanba, Holy King Kong Strength, Arhut, Demon, Subduing Vajra, Strength, Holy Spirit, Yuling Guardian Warrior, Strength, Lin Yusheng God, S Water King Kong, Strength, Shun Tianfei, Holy Armor King Kong at Golden Immortal Stage Level 7, Aoya, Sword Force King Kong at Golden Immortal Stage Level 7, Arhut King Kong, Strength, Huang Shi, Arrogant Knife King Kong, Golden Immortal Stage Level 9, Clan, 0. Other than the Arhut King Kong, the other King Kong generals have also shown their true strength and cultivation. The 4 great King Kong of Nantian region are all unknown. Yuan Ba, what happened to you two? Long Fei was very worried. God's martial continent had changed too much in the past few years. It was like a giant wheel rolling down, spinning so fast that it made Long Fei panic in his heart. Actually, what he didn't know was that this was a sign that a catastrophe was about to befall him. We have to settle the matters of the immortal domain as soon as possible. We need to make a trip to the Nantian region as soon as possible. Long Fei had an ominous premonition when he thought about Nantian region, that something must have happened to him. Right now, the only thing he could be sure of was that Li Yuanba's 4 great King Kong were still alive. Otherwise, they wouldn't have appeared on the list. Boss, Big Brother Long Fei. Black Knife and Yinner looked at the dazed Long Fei. Long Fei regained his composure and smiled. I've been scared by your identities. And then, Long Fei looked at Yinner and said, Yinner, don't let anyone else know about your ability. The most important thing is that you must not sense my future. Long Fei was not afraid of his future. It wasn't that he didn't dare to face it. He was worried that he would make the people around him worry. He did not believe in the future. He only believed in himself. He did not believe in the heavens. He did not believe in the earth. He even more so did not believe in fate. Yinner did not quite understand, but she still nodded and said, "In." Following that, Long Fei walked out of the room. In the courtyard, Fu Shishan and a few others were waiting for him. Long Fei laughed. I forgot to tell you guys something. In 3 years, I have established a sect, and its name is God's Martial Sect. Do you all want to join my sect now? 50 slots. They must all take it. Moreover, to raise the sect's level, Long Fei alone was useless. It would depend on everyone's hard work. Half an hour later, everyone in the courtyard had been gathered, even the 50 people. At this moment, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for taking in his disciple and triggering Monster Siege system. Within 3 days, the monsters attacked the city. Player Long Fei must guard the God Emperor city. Once the city is broken, all 50 people of the God's martial sect will be killed by the system. Countdown begins. The system beep finished. Long Fei was stunned. Damn, this daddy knew that something bad was going to happen. System your ass. Your whole family your ass. Are you toying with me? Killing me, all of you? Isn't a little too much? Cursing is cursing. However, the monsters attacking the city made Long Fei excited. The chance to explode was here. Chapter 991. Supreme God, get your ass out here for this daddy. Chapter 991. Supreme God, get your ass out here for this daddy. The establishment of the sect triggered the invasion of the monsters. This added fuel to the fire for Long Fei, because he had yet to think of a way to deal with the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe. He really didn't have the slightest confidence. Right now, the only thing I can do is to hope that the monsters will attack the city and the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe will not attack the God Emperor's city on the same day. Long Fei secretly said in his heart. And then, Long Fei said, everything will be prepared within 3 days. After 3 days, there will be a huge battle. 3 days. Fat Man Shun was startled and said, Boss, didn't you say 7 days earlier? Why did it become 3 days again? Everyone looked at Long Fei. They were all a little confused. Time was running out. Long Fei exhaled and said, 3 days is when the demon beast invades the city. 7 days is when the Magic Tribe invades the city, which means to say, we have to bear 2 attacks. This is a battle of life and death. I hope everyone will use their strongest power. It really was a matter of life and death. If the monster attack could not be stopped, all the disciples in the God's martial sect created by Long Fei would be killed by the system. If they were able to resist the attacks of the monsters and the Magic Tribe army defeating them, they probably wouldn't be able to survive. A battle of life and death. Demon beast attack? No one understood. Yinner's eyes flashed, and her body began to tremble. Her voice also started to tremble a little. So many demon beasts. Some of them even came from the infernal realm. Too strong. She saw a demon beast that blotted out the sky and covered the earth, saw the sky stained with blood, and saw how countless people died. In addition, she also saw that behind the monster army, the million-strong army was staring at them with hostility. Yinner's body trembled even more as she hugged the black knife in fear. Can we give up? She could see the future. What she had was the blood vein of the prophet. She was afraid of what she had just seen. Black Knife hugged her daughter tightly and looked at Long Fei. Long Fei clenched both his fists tightly and said, "He is right. We might all die here. The monster army that we have to face is incomparably powerful. After the monster army comes the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe. There's still 3 days left, and you still have a chance to choose. I won't blame you. There is only one life, and no one would take it as a joke. So Long Fei didn't have the qualifications to make them hand their lives over to him. People would really die." Fat Min Chen shouted, "Boss, aren't you underestimating us? Isn't it just one life? It's as if someone has two. I'll fight it out with everything I have." "Fight to the death." The saber art said, "Fight to the death. Fight to the death." Because Long Fei and the others had gathered together. Because Long Fei and the others had become extremely strong. And also because Long Fei and the others felt that their lives had gained meaning. For Long Fei, fight. Long Fei was secretly grateful in his heart. It's really good to have such a bunch of brothers. 3 days. We only have 3 days. Everyone, go and prepare. Long Fei said. Following that, he walked out of the yard. Man Tuoyuo asked, "Long Fei, where are you going?" Long Fei said, "I'm going to the God Emperor Academy." Originally, they wanted to disperse, but their faces tensed up as they immediately took a step forward and said, "Long Fei, you can't go. The current God Emperor Academy is different from the previous God Emperor Academy. They won't let you go if you go. Long Fei, don't go. The current God Emperor Academy is rotten. God Emperor Academy is a bunch of scum." Everyone began to urge him. Long Fei smiled slightly. "Don't worry, I'll be fine." While they were talking, Long Fei looked at the sky and thought, "Supreme God, we have to settle this debt now. You guys are busy with your matters." Finished. Carrying the dragon salure on his shoulder, Long Fei walked towards the direction of the God Emperor Academy. A single saber strike? 3 years wasn't a long time, but it was enough to change everyone. To be able to turn the #1 academy in God's martial continent into the #1 Dregs Academy. Just as they had said, the current God Emperor Academy had already become a bandit's nest. They were the tyrants of the God Emperor's city, the tumor. As long as they went down the mountain, there would be no good things to do. And the one who caused all of this was the Supreme God. Unrestrained, it was a form of acquiescence. It was precisely because of his tacit approval that things turned out this way. There was only one way to change the current situation: kill Supreme God. Supreme God. Peak palace question of God. He was so strong that he could not be shaken, and wanted to kill him? Even Gu Tong Tian could not easily do it. Half an hour later, at the entrance of God Emperor Academy, the 4 disciples stood there, looking all around. Seeing Long Fei who was walking towards them, one of the disciples snorted, "Show your order badge." The others glanced at Long Fei. Newbie, never seen him before? It couldn't be a confession, could it? While they were talking, Long Fei's figure disappeared and reappeared inside the academy's gate. The 4 guards were stunned. "How dare you barge in a God Emperor Academy? I think you must be tired of living." The 4 of them quickly rushed forward. Long Fei completely ignored him and walked toward the peak of the God Emperor Mountain in large strides. That was the place closest to the outer space palace. Who is it? Someone has barged into the God Emperor Academy. Kill this brat. All sorts of clamors and shouts continuously rang out within the God Emperor Academy. Long Fei didn't even pay attention to him and continued walking toward the peak of the God Emperor Mountain. Brat, who exactly are you, and why are you here in the God Emperor Academy? If you don't explain all of this today, you can forget about leaving this place alive. All sides of the road were blocked. A few elders of the God Emperor Academy stood in midair and glared at Long Fei, who was below. Suddenly, one of the clan elders frowned and suddenly said 2 words, Long Fei. What Long Fei? Dragons can fly, what are you talking about? His name is Long Fei. The Long Fei who was blasted into the Deathland by the great honored warrior 3 years ago. Oh my God, is it the Long Fei who picked out the 18 principals on the list and killed the 8 great Fairy Hall elder in anger? The entire scene exploded into an uproar. Some revealed fear, some revealed admiration. They had heard of Long Fei's deeds before. He was too strong and too cruel, like a demon. Long Fei slightly said, "This time, it has nothing to do with you guys, just watch on the side. Also, don't provoke me." Finished. Long Fei took a step forward, his body becoming a blur. With a single step, he landed on the summit of the God Emperor Mountain and roared at the outer space palace above him. Supreme God, get the hell down here. Chapter 992, I want to be a supreme God. Chapter 992, I want to be a supreme God, a furious roar. Thunder rumbled, resounding for 10,000 kilometers. And at this moment, all of the people in the God Emperor city trembled as they raised their heads to look. Fu Shishan's face changed greatly. Long Fei wants to take care of Supreme God. This is crazy. Fat Minchin dropped what he was doing and rushed out. Thinking back to the scene that happened in the training grounds 3 years ago, he rushed out without a care in the world. Everyone thought that Long Fei would go to the God Emperor Academy to settle scores with some of the Fairy Hall elderess. His target was the Supreme God who had sent them flying 3 years ago. Of the Palace Question of God. 3 years ago, when they were sent flying, that kind of power was not something they could touch. Even if they had broken through and become stronger, they were no match for the Supreme God at all. The Supreme God was really too strong. They did not even know the realm of his strength. There was no limit to how strong he was. How could he be an opponent? Right at the moment when the fatty was about to rush out, Qiu Wandao's figure moved, directly blocking his path, and said, "You can't go. Presbyter Qiu, get out of the way." Fat Min Shun was a little angry. "You should know better than me how strong Supreme God is. If the great assembly dies, he will die." Everyone rushed to the courtyard's entrance. They wanted to rush out, so the elderly in green also descended and blocked his path, saying, "Supreme God is very strong, so strong that it's useless even if all of us go. Why would young Master Long go alone? He just doesn't want to see that scene from 3 years ago happen again." And Qiu Wandao took over. Long Fei is definitely not a reckless person. He will definitely think of a way to deal with the Supreme God. If we go, it will only bring him more trouble. We have to sit down and take care of what he has to say. Everyone fell silent. Indeed, even if they went, they would only cause trouble for Long Fei. Their power was something that even the Fairy Hall Elder S found difficult to deal with, not to mention the Supreme God S themselves. Song Qianqian looked at Yin'er and said, "Yin'er, what can you do?" Yin'er shook her head. "Sister Qianqian, I promised Big Brother Long Fei that I would never look at his future. I know that the Supreme God is powerful and his power is the strongest I have ever seen, but I believe in Big Brother Long Fei." She didn't dare look. He really didn't dare to look, because she was afraid of the scene when Long Fei fell into a pool of blood. Being able to see the future was also a very painful thing. Everyone fell silent. Fat Min Shin smashed a piece of rock into pieces with his fist and said fiercely, "I am really useless. Who was that voice just now? You dare to challenge the Supreme God? Is he crazy?" This voice seems very familiar, as if you've heard it somewhere. That arrogant tone is very familiar. Arrogant? Whoever dares to be arrogant in front of the Supreme God is not afraid that this day next year will be his anniversary. To dare to be so arrogant in front of Supreme God, then this person, Long Fei. Everyone in the streets and alleys of God Emperor Academy was talking about it. The name Long Fei once again caused a sensation. Exciting. It was because someone dared to confront the God Emperor Academy, dared to challenge the palace question of God. There was someone who dared to fight against the God. In the hearts of the ordinary citizens of the God Emperor city, the palace question of God was the shrine, and the Supreme God was the Supreme God. They were invincible. They were completely unable to move. At the same time, they are hateful. Long Fei's arrogant voice made many people's blood boil. At the peak of the God Emperor Mountain, Long Fei roared once again, "Supreme God, get the hell down here. Long Fei, you're too impudent. You dare to act so arrogantly here? You must be tired of living." A Fairy Hall elder shouted loudly, "A mere golden immortal rank dares to be so arrogant. You really think too highly of yourself. If I were you, I would have found a place for everyone to live after escaping from Deathland, and I even ran over to God Emperor Academy to behave atrociously and even dared to challenge the Supreme God. You are courting death, do you know that?" Long Fei's eyes slightly moved, glanced at the elder who spoke, and said, "I don't have time to pay attention to you today, so please shut up. I'm here to cause a ruckus. Go away. I don't want to go blind." However, some people always like to be mean. Then, when the Fairy Hall elder was enraged, the pressure of the Yuan Xian realm pressed down on him. The powerful strength of his body transformed into two palms that struck towards Xiang Longfei. "You dog die." Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he resisted the dragon's salure on his shoulder and fell. Shua! His figure disappeared. Crack! A moment later, a head flew into the air and fresh blood splattered. Long Fei returned to his original spot and said playfully, "I really don't want to kill anyone. I already said it. Don't provoke me. Don't provoke me. Why aren't you listening? I came here today to overturn the palace question of God. If you still want to die, then don't blame me for being impolite." The words grew colder and colder until they sounded like they came from hell itself. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts as their hearts trembled. Too terrifying. The current Long Fei was completely different from the Long Fei of 3 years ago. 3 years of killing. After 3 years on the road to Deathland, Long Fei's temperament and aura had completely changed. An elder of the Yuan Xian realm was instantly killed. Just how terrifying was this existence? 3 years ago, he wasn't a match at all. The faces of the elders of the God Emperor Academy sunk. They did not dare say a word, and did not even dare to breathe loudly, as they quietly looked at Long Fei. At this moment, palace question of God. The Supreme God looked at Long Fei in the great void mirror, and a cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth as he said coldly, "Long Fei, you sent yourself to your death, so don't blame me for this." Then, the big door of the outer space palace opened. An enormous aura covered the sky. His aura spread across the entire God Emperor city. The sky darkened. His figure was as graceful as an immortal, as if he was a god from the immortal world. Moreover, in the Supreme God's heart, he treated himself as the god of the immortal domain. The Supreme God. Long Fei. The Supreme God's tone was filled with contempt. He laughed coldly and said, "You should have lived like a dog after crawling out of the Deathland, and yet you came here to die. Tell me, are you cheating?" Supreme God's voice burst out from all directions. The pressure from all directions also came crushing down. Very, very strong. Just the pressure it exuded was much stronger than it was 3 years ago. Long Fei's mind and consciousness were all trembling. However, compared to 3 years ago, Long Fei was also different. Long Fei's mouth hooked into a cold smile. "If I don't turn you over, what's the point in living? Old thief, Supreme God. The entire immortal domain is covered in smoke. Because of you, you failed to fulfill your duty as the immortal domain. Do you think you have the qualifications to become the head of the immortal domain? Supreme, God sneered. So what if there's smoke and miasma? Mortals are like ants. But you, Long Fei, what are you trying to do by saying all these? Could it be that you want to become the head of a mortal domain? Haha. Long Fei laughed excitedly and said, You're right. I want to become a supreme god. Chapter 993, Lousy Must Blow You. Chapter 993, Lousy Must Blow You. I want to replace him. I want to be the head of a mortal domain. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire God Emperor city was shocked. This was an outrageous statement. Moreover, Long Fei was only a golden immortal rank, and using this kind of strength to challenge the supreme god, he was completely seeking death. However, Long Fei had to take her place. This step was extremely important. If it was unable to succeed, then the assault by the demon beastess would come 3 days later. He would not be able to defend against the million-strong demon beast army, and would not be able to withstand the power Fu Shishan had accumulated for the past 3 years. Only by unifying the power of the entire God Emperor city would there be hope. There was only one person who could do this. Supreme God, the head of the immortal domain. Only by becoming the head of a mortal domain would one be able to command everything. Who would dare to disobey? Directly kill. No one dared to oppose the palace question of God. There was only one way. This was also the fastest way Long Fei could think of. He could become the supreme god and command everyone to stop the demon beast from attacking the city and the army of a million magic tribe. A very difficult solution. He was very clear in his heart that the supreme god was incomparably powerful, but he had to take this step forward and take his place. Ha ha, ha ha. Supreme God laughed crazily. Many people from God Emperor Academy also laughed. Replacing? A fantasy story. The position of the Supreme God is something that has been chosen from the inside of the palace question of God. No one can replace it. If you want to replace it, you have to make the entire palace question of God your enemy. Who would dare? Long Fei dared. The Supreme God loudly laughed and said, Then how do you want to replace it? Long Fei said, I will kill you in a simple and crude way. Ha! The Supreme God laughed out wildly again and said, Long Fei, I used to think you were very good, fighting with your life on the line, daring to kill, able to take, and being arrogant and despotic. This is the aura a martial artist should possess. Now, I've discovered another personality of yours. Naive. He's really too naive. Do you really take yourself seriously? Do you really think that your long family's life is invincible? Actually, you are just a pitiful bug whose fate is already in the hands of another person. It's just that you don't know it yourself. Ha ha. Long Fei said, Supreme God, stop competing blindly. I have no time to waste here. Go on and on. Let's fight. You sent me flying 3 years ago. This time, I will destroy you. As soon as he finished speaking, the chi on Long Fei's body suddenly exploded. The dragon Salyer moved. The black flaming blade energy began to burn crazily. Supreme God revealed a disdainful sneer. With just you, Long Fei, in my eyes, you are just a piece of trash. Suddenly, Supreme God laughed coldly in ridicule. He slapped his high and mighty palm downwards, and the 5-fingered giant palm came crashing down. As if it was an external hand, it directly grabbed Xiang Long Fei and sneered, Brat, go obediently to hell. A giant palm print appeared and held Long Fei in the center of his palm. And then, the palm imprint exploded with force. Boom! With a loud bang, the void shattered. It turned into fine powder that scattered into the air. Instant death. Supreme God is indeed a supreme God. Long Fei is completely no match for him. Golden immortal rank? Too weak. Supreme God is a super powerful powerhouse of the immortal realm. Other than a few grand elders of the Western Devil Lord and the Outer Space Palace, no one else is his match. He's a joke. One hit kill? In the eyes of the people of God Emperor Academy, this was indeed the case. In the eyes of the Supreme God, it was the same, because he did not even put Long Fei in his eyes and was not qualified to be his opponent. But just when everyone was laughing at Long Fei for overestimating himself, Long Fei's figure suddenly flashed out from the void. The powerful force of teleportation exploded in front of Supreme God. Void walk, shuttle through everything. This was the power of Kassadin. Facing such a strong power, Long Fei immediately shot out. The moment he appeared, Long Fei hugged his arms, and the two furious Vajra apes roared out and smashed onto Supreme God's chest like heavy cannons. Rumble, rumble. The void exploded. Supreme God's body flew out 1,000 meters like a remnant thread. The entire audience was shocked. What has happened? How did he dodge the Supreme God's attack? How could he come out of nowhere? How did he manage to injure the Supreme God? One question after another remained unanswered in their minds. They couldn't understand it at all. Just what was going on. Even the Supreme God didn't understand. The people of this world didn't even know who Kassadin was. Everyone was stunned. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly and said, "Supreme God, is this great?" Supreme God's face darkened. He became ugly, stared at Long Fei and said, "Brat, just you wait." Boom! The power of someone at the peak of the immortal stage, level 1, exploded forth. His body also abruptly underwent a tremendous change. Next, Chua. His speed could not be described as fast. He landed beside Long Fei, and the divine light on his palm flashed as he placed his palm on Long Fei's chest. Golden Dragon Master. Boom! Buzz, buzz, buzz. The defensive power of 8 Golden Dragon Master S was completely released. At this moment, Long Fei moved and shouted, "Super Saiyan, Bloodline Mode, transform." Chua. Moreover, at this moment, the Golden Dragon Master had dissolved most of the Supreme God's strength, but Long Fei's body was still sunk. The blood in his chest was tumbling, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, Long Fei did not retreat. In terms of speed, he was not a match for Supreme God. He could only seize the instant when Supreme God made his move, and then an all-out attack. Big Day, Tashigata. 1,000 Blessings Sect. A giant palm made of golden light shot out explosively. Within the void, an incomparably gigantic ancestral illusionary Tathagata appeared out of thin air. This palm strike carried an incomparably strong power of the Holy Buddha. Rumble! The giant golden palm exploded on Supreme God's chest, and a violent strike of damage floated above his head. The amount of blood on the head of Supreme God appeared, a number to try. It was so much that Long Fei's scalp went numb. 1 billion. F*CK. 1 billion HP. I'm F*King screwed. This is way too freaking terrifying. What boss hadn't he seen? However, it was Long Fei's first time seeing a 1 billion HP boss. How was he going to kill it? It was too difficult. To other people, it was like that, but to a madman, the more health you have, the stronger your cultivation is, and the higher your level is, which means that this boss will drop more holy artifact, or even more, I have prepared 100 striking energy value for you. Bring it on. Today I will risk my life to turn you upside down. Chapter 994. Supreme God's Great Skill, Tomb of the 9-Story Heaven. Chapter 994. Supreme God's Great Skill, Tomb of the 9-Story Heaven, determined below. Now, Long Fei's bold words resounded in the sky above the God Emperor City, and everyone within the God Emperor City heard them. Many young warriors' blood started to boil. Long Fei ignited the fire in their hearts. Ah-ha-ha, ah-ha-ha. Supreme God laughed crazily as he stared at Long Fei. Seems like you have improved a lot in these 3 years, but so what? In my eyes, you are still an ant. Boom! The illusory image of the Supreme God dispersed into the sky, forming a gigantic figure. The entire sky was filled with the aura of his power. In this God's martial continent, I am the heavens. Long Fei, do you dare to fight against the heavens? Ha! As the laughter faded, the power of heaven came crashing down. Long Fei's body suddenly sank. He could not sense the position of the Supreme God. He only felt that the Supreme God was incomparably powerful, omnipresent. Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. Is this his power? Terrifying. Terrifying. Yin Huang ancestor replied. He cultivates heavenly energy. I don't care what kind of power he cultivated. Not to mention he's not heaven. Even if he's really heaven, I will still blast a hole in him to come out. Long Fei's heart sank as he burst forth with power. Raising his head to look at the sky, he roared out loudly, Level 8 unparalleled. Open it for me. Buzz. A bell chime exploded inside Long Fei's body. 256 times the usual attribute power exploded outwards as Long Fei's strength burned crazily in his Super Saiyan mode, and his power of celestial value was also being crazily consumed as well. This old man doesn't care who you are. I'll definitely overturn you today. A roar. Long Fei's footsteps shook, and his body shot up to the sky like a rocket. At the same time, both his fists went berserk, and he unleashed his strength in a berserk manner. Pung, pung, pung. Boom, boom, boom. It was a complete mess. As fast as lightning. His fist felt like it was about to hit flesh. He did not know if they had attacked the Supreme God, but that was the only thing he could do. As Long Fei's speed became faster and faster, the attack power on his fist became stronger and stronger. Supreme God's sky-crushing power also started to continuously tighten, as if a layer of God's General Long Fei was wrapping around it. This move, Outer Space Palace. The brows of the fairy hall elder trembled. An elder suddenly exclaimed, "The heavenly tomb. This. He actually forced the Supreme God's heavenly tomb out. I can't help but say that this brat is quite impressive, but no matter how amazing he is, it's useless. He's about to die. He truly does not know his place. If he does not fight with someone, then he has to fight with our palace question of God. Isn't that just courting death? This Long Fei is too arrogant. The lesson 3 years ago was not enough. This time Supreme God will definitely not let him off. Heavenly Tomb. It was a power of the heavenly Tao. Once released, it would become a dead existence. No one could resist it. In the forbidden grounds of Outer Space Palace, Gu Tongtian's forehead tightened as killing intent flashed in his eyes. It seems like you really don't want me to live for too long. You even used the power of the Heavenly Tomb. I've really underestimated you these past 3 years. You actually cultivated the Heavenly Tomb to this extent. Gu Tongtian's eyes were filled with shock. This showed just how powerful the power of the Heavenly Tomb was. However, he was in no hurry to act. He narrowed his eyes and waited. Swish! A layer of sky split open and wrapped itself around it. Chua! Yet another layer of the sky appeared. The sky continuously split open as layers and layers of power burst out. The 9-story heaven S and the 9 great heavenly powers were like a bag of dumplings as they tightly wrapped around Long Fei. The Supreme God's wild laughter rang out. Brat, go to hell. Tomb of a 9-story heaven. Heaven's path sect. Open. Enveloped by 9-story heaven, a door in the sky opened. It was called the Door of Heaven's Path, Heaven's Burial, a gift sent to the heavens. Long Fei was wrapped within. The energy from all directions crushed down onto him, causing Long Fei's body to almost be unable to withstand it. Yin Huang ancestor slightly said, Brat, do you want me? No need. Long Fei rejected him immediately without waiting for Yin Huang ancestor to finish. Sea Dragon King said anxiously, Boss, the power of the 9-story heaven Tao is very strong. You can't resist it at all, so why don't you let us out? In that moment of life and death, Sea Dragon King couldn't care so much anymore. Long Fei said, No need. And then, Long Fei said to the Yin Huang ancestor, I can withstand this power, but I can't find the position of the Supreme God. Ancestor, help me lock on the position of the Supreme God. Yin Huang ancestor replied, All right, explode. When a 9-story heaven exploded, the scene was like the sky shattering, and the heaven and earth shook. The world was moving, the spirits were shocked. His finger pointed up at the 9 heavens, down to the 9 nether regions, and not a single one of them wasn't trembling. The power of this move was too strong. However, Even if it was even more powerful, it would still be of no use to Long Fei, because the moment the nine-story heaven exploded and crushed him, Long Fei shouted in his heart, "Zhonya Gold Body, open!" Buzz! Long Fei put on a handsome posture and smiled. "Come, let's see who you can blast to death." Boom, boom, boom. A series of loud sounds rang out. Long Fei's body seemed to have entered a completely different world as powerful forces continuously struck at him. His body did not have the slightest injury, but the shock in his heart was extremely strong because the difference between his current realm and supreme gods was simply too great. One's mind and consciousness could not defend against attacks from the golden body. Zhonya Gold Body's defense was invincible. However, his mind, his sea of consciousness, had no way to defend. The Golden Dragon Master could not withstand the impact of the power. Hold on. Long Fei gnashed his teeth, as his heart was strangely appraising. However, this was a layer of explosion. It was like a ferocious beast in a cage, crazily enraged. However, no matter how mad it would not be able to break through the cage and would only end up as a laughing toy. Sick. He felt extremely displeased. Rumble. The third level exploded. Beneath Long Fei's golden body, blood trickled out from the corner of his mouth. His mind felt like it was about to shatter. If not for the power of the grade 9 immortal stage god's soul herb and the 9 great bronze men protecting his mind, Long Fei's mind would have definitely been broken. At that time, even if his body did not die, he would have turned into a vegetable and would not be able to wake up. Rumble. The fourth level exploded. Supreme God laughed out wildly. Long Fei, is this good? It must be very satisfying, right? Ha ha. Fighting with me. This is the result of fighting with me. Boom. The fifth level exploded. Long Fei couldn't take it anymore. Chapter 995, Fusion of Blood Vein. Chapter 995, Fusion of Blood Vein, huh? Fight with me. You still want to replace me? You think that just because you're from the Long family, you can't handle it? You think you're awesome because you're the prophet's son? Still suppressed by me. This is the result of your disobedience. If you want to be as obedient as a dog, you can live for a few more years like your dead father. Ha! The Supreme God sneered. Boom! The sixth level exploded. Long Fei's blood was boiling. His internal organs had all been dislocated. His mind was struggling to hold on as well. The sea of consciousness was overturning. Even the head of the dragon and the body of the dragon would not be able to withstand this. The head of the Yuan Long spoke in a disdainful voice. Brat, are you that useless? How can someone like you be able to withstand a tribulation like this? How can someone like you lead the dragon clan to kill the divinity? Are you worthy? If you can't do it, then give your body to me. I'll let you experience what a power of Yuan Long is. A thin line between life and death. Even the idea let out a disdainful sound. Long Fei could not take it. At this time, the power of the seventh level exploded. The golden body was covered in blood. Long Fei was still resisting it with all his might, but when he heard the disdainful sneers from the Supreme God and Yuan Long, he became even more unhappy. He wasn't ready. Although his realm did not break through, his power had become even stronger. He did not even use the power of the flame heaven divine light, but had used the power of the heavenly tomb from the very beginning, because this time he would definitely not give Long Fei a second chance. He would definitely not let Long Fei leave this place alive. He wanted to cut off some people's hopes. As long as these people used up their lives, then he would be the king of this world, a king who was like a god, a Western devil lord, a grand elder, a lord of the dark domain, a king of the wilderness. All of these would be crushed by him, as long as the dragon domain did not open. Those old monsters that had lived for more than 400 years would all die. As for him, right now he was only 200 years old. He still had 200 years of time, and he had plenty of time. Long Fei, he must die. Thinking about this, Supreme God started laughing maniacally in his heart. Master, I used to live like a dog in front of you. You raised me like a dog. All the things I did in the past were all for your sake. Now, I want to live for myself. You still have 2 years to live, so you old things can die in peace. Dragon Domain? You guys can forget about opening it for the rest of your lives. Haha. As long as Long Fei dies. And then, Nantian region would also disappear along with the bottom of the sea, and they would never again have Long family. Everything was his. The 8th level. Explode. Rumble. The layer of sky surrounding Long Fei exploded once again, causing Long Fei's entire body to tremble violently. It was extremely uncomfortable, but this pain was caused by his mental collapse. God's Phoenix Pavilion. Yinner's body started to tremble, and her face paled. Big Brother Long Fei, Big Brother Long Fei. Father, go save Big Brother Long Fei. Big Brother Fatty, go save Big Brother Long Fei. Sisters, Big Brother Long Fei can't take it anymore. Yinner did not look at Long Fei's future. She sensed the aura in Long Fei's body and sensed the pain that he was currently enduring. The edge of collapse. Fat Man Shun was furious. With a crash of his body, he directly smashed apart the courtyard wall. His body flew. His 250 gene body rushed out like a thick bolt of lightning. One step at a time, he shouted, Supreme God Old Man, make a move on my boss. I'll F***K, you're immortal. At the same time, Xiao Wandao's body was also trembling, and at this time, he too lost all reason and rushed towards the God Emperor Academy. Song Qianqian and the others all rushed towards God Emperor Academy. They were all scared silly. 3 years of scenes flashed through their minds. This time, it was even more brutal than 3 years ago. Every time the power in the sky exploded, it was as if a brother had disappeared right in front of them. Long Fei, Long Fei. Inside God Emperor City, countless people clenched their fists tightly, looked up to the sky, and prayed in their hearts. Young Master Long, you must hold on. Long Fei, you must persevere on. Long Fei was their hero. If Long Fei fell, the immortal domain would no longer have any hope. God Emperor Academy. All the Fairy Hall Elder S started laughing. Ha, brat, no matter how arrogant you are, you should be dead by now. Ha ha. The mighty Supreme God. Ha ha. Ha. Those high and mighty Fairy Hall Elder S. All of them wished for Long Fei's death and wished for nothing more than for him to go to hell earlier. Long Fei was a scourge to them. Supreme God glanced at the heavenly palace and thought to himself, Master, even if you attack him now, you won't be able to save him. Ha ha! Your hopes are about to be dashed, ha ha! In a few years, I will be the strongest king in the gods' martial continent. The first 9-story heaven explode, outer space palace. Gu Tongtian's forehead turned sinister, and his body suddenly disappeared. He couldn't let Long Fei die. Absolutely not. Long Fei was his open dragon domain's only hope. He currently only had 2 years of life left, and if he could not cultivate the secrets of the longevity techniques in these 2 years, and if he could not obtain the treasures of the dragon domain, he would die of old age in the gods' martial continent. Absolutely not. As his figure fell, a tyrannical power came crashing down. He shouted, Supreme God, stop. Rumble. In front of Gu Tongtian from the flying fairyland, Supreme God did not have any chance to retaliate. As if he didn't feel pain at all, he smiled sinisterly and excitedly said, Master, it's too late. He's about to die, and your last hope will be shattered, huh? Everything was coming to an end. He was the final victor. Supreme God laughed wildly in excitement. Even though he was severely injured, he did not care at all. The explosion of the first 9-story heaven had already begun, and Long Fei was definitely unable to withstand it. He would definitely die. With Long Fei's death, Gu Tongtian also wouldn't be able to kill him, because every time he used his energy and essence energy, Gu Tongtian's lifespan would decrease. He couldn't bear to die, so he was the final winner. Ha ha ha! Supreme God laughed proudly. No one could stop Long Fei's death. No one. The instant the 9th floor exploded, Long Fei thought, Ancestor, can we do it now? Yin Huang Ancestor said, It's about time. Your body is about to collapse. The blood vein hidden in your body is about to collapse as well. This is too dangerous. Long Fei grinned like a madman and said sinisterly, "Come, let's condense your unique blood vein and merge it into my body." Chapter 996, Devouring Vein. Chapter 996, Devouring Vein. Blood Vein's power was a special kind of power. There are millions of blood vein in this world, and every type of blood vein has different attributes. It contains a strong power, and it contains a talent that goes against the heavens. The exquisite rose finch blood vessel. Song Qianqian's 9 heavens female blood vein. Pan Sheng's Pangu bloodline had been jealous and envious of the vein of ancient first emperor that he had met in the Nantian region countless of times. Every time he had asked the patriarch, when would he be able to refine his blood vein, the exclusive blood vein, the forefather continued to work hard. After 3 years, he had finally absorbed the power of thousands upon thousands of blood essences. However, Long Fei's body was different from ordinary warriors. He said that there were no Dragon Clan blood vein on him, but there was still the power of the blood vein left in his blood. So he had to completely remove the power of the blood vein from his body so that Long Fei's blood did not have the power of the blood vein. "Bring it on. Patriarch, there's no more time." Long Fei shouted anxiously. Long Fei was already unable to endure the explosion of the first 9-story heaven. If this continued, he would really die here. He was using the supreme God's power to expel the powerful blood vein's power from his blood from his body. He was collapsing, and the blood vein came out of his body, allowing his body to reach an unprecedented state of being a container. Only by doing this could he instantly absorb the blood vein's power. This move, Long Fei left in an incomparably dangerous manner. It could be said that he was dancing on a sharp knife. The 9-story heaven had already exploded, so the Yin Huang ancestor didn't waste any more time. She reminded him, "Brat, empty your body." Finished. The moment the Yin Huang ancestor's idea moved, a burst of power exclusive to Yin Huang ancestor burst out from Long Fei's body. In his mind, a drop of blood essence floated in the air. "Fall!" Yin Huang ancestor roared, and the blood that was floating above his mind dripped down. All sorts of powerful runes, mysterious ancient runes, the runes of the Chaos Realm, and the blood of millions of demon beasts seemed to have been electrocuted, and the ancient blood vein seemed to explode from within Long Fei's body. Less than 1/10 of a second had passed. The power of that drop of blood essence filled every part of Long Fei's body. His mind, the sea of consciousness, his internal organs, his meridians, and every part of his body could feel the power in his blood. At this moment, his mind, the sea of consciousness, his internal organs, his meridians, and every part of his meridians could feel the power in his blood. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully fusing with the blood vein. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100,000 experience points, 1,000 power of celestial, and 1,000 points as a special reward. Ding! System notification. Do you wish to activate the blood vein? Yes, sir. Long Fei was startled. My feelings haven't been activated just now? You can release such a powerful force without activating it? Right. Patriarch, what's the name of this refined blood vein? Long Fei asked. He really wanted to know the name of this blood vein. The Yin Huang ancestor said excitedly, "From the 9-story heaven to the netherworld kingdom, the world is unrivaled and also the most special. It is a blood vein that was created specifically for you, a devouring vein." Huh? Long Fei trembled. Devouring vein? It sounds very powerful. Yin Huang ancestor disdainfully said, "What do you mean by you look very strong? It's very powerful. You just wait and see." Blood vein, devouring vein level. 0 description. Currently, only 1/1000th of the blood vein has been activated. Players will constantly swallow, and the blood vein's power will continue to grow stronger. When players reach the peak realm, they can devour anything in this world and transform it into their own strength. Damn, awesome. Long Fei looked at the description given by the blood vein and immediately became extremely excited. Yin Huang ancestor laughed complacently. Would the blood vein I condense be weak? I have to say, brat, your luck is really good. This is the first time I have refined a blood vein, but I didn't expect it to actually succeed. Your first time? Crap. Ancestor, you're really something. I placed great hopes on you, but you said that this is your first time. This is a success. If you don't succeed, then I'll be tricked into the latrine. Long Fei said with a lingering fear in his heart. It was really close. Of course. Yin Huang Ancestor was extremely serious about refining the blood vein. He had never been this serious before. He knew very well, but Chaos Realm was different. It was completely a world where a blood vein was king. If Long Fei could not fuse a blood vein before he entered the Chaos Realm, he would have no place in the Chaos Realm. Because of the blood vein, the devouring vein was also something he had considered for Long Fei in the Chaos Realm. Once he started cultivating with devouring vein, then that many holy vein, ancient blood vein, and even the stronger blood vein would only become Long Fei's blood vein's food and would be crazily devoured by him. And he would also crazily break through his shackles. Yin Huang Ancestor smiled and said, "Don't talk anymore. If you don't hurry up, you will really be killed by Supreme God's move." The power of the first 9-story heaven exploded. If he did not make a move, Long Fei would really die from the explosion. Huff! Long Fei exhaled a heavy breath as the idea moved. Buzz! Long Fei activated the power of the fused devouring vein. At the same time, he kept the Zhongya gold body, and a scarlet blood mist appeared from his body. Soon after, the blood mist turned into a devil and swallowed the blood mist. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Thunder boomed everywhere, and the heavens and earth were moved. The power of the first 9-story heaven's explosion became weaker and weaker. It continued to disappear, and the surrounding people were all dumbfounded. He could not understand what kind of power this was. Why did the force of the explosion disappear? Wasn't it getting stronger and stronger? Supreme God's eyes also sank as he said in shock, "Impossible, absolutely impossible." He knew better than anyone how powerful the 9-story heaven's burial force was. The power of the first 9-story heaven's explosion was so strong that no one could defend against it. Long Fei, who was merely a golden immortal rank, simply could not withstand the impact of the second 9-story heaven's explosion. Buzz! Buzz! The power continued to shrink. The power of the 9-story heaven's burial was completely devoured by Long Fei. Devouring vein. Not only could it possess the strength of a devouring vein, it could also swallow strength. Other than that, its strongest aspect was its ability to instantly release the power of devour. Long Fei slowly stood up, a cold smile hanging on his lips. He stared at Supreme God and said, "Now it's my turn, right?" Chapter 997, Crazy Crush. Chapter 997, Crazy Crush. The power of the 9-story heaven tomb had disappeared. Long Fei was completely unharmed. Everyone was stunned. Even Gu Tong Tian, who was in the sky, was stunned. This kid is really incredible. Even he couldn't do that. At the same time, Gu Tong Tian slightly narrowed his eyes, coldly looked at the day's Supreme God, and faintly said in his heart, "This is good too, Long Fei. Oh, Long Fei, looks like you really are the prophet son of the Long family. Then you can definitely become the open dragon domain." Even the power of the 9-story heaven's burial could resist it. What reason could they not believe that Long Fei was the prophet's son? He was the only possibility of the open dragon domain. Moreover, counting the time, the Dragon Clan's calamity and the Long family's calamity were separated by 3,330,000 years. But the third calamity was only a little less than 2 years away. He did not care about calamities or the relationship between the Long family or the dragon race. What he wanted was the sacred art that would lead him to the longevity secret world. He wanted the dragon race's lifespan that would last for tens of thousands of years. "Kid, you must not disappoint me." Gu Tong Tian smiled slightly. The Supreme God roared out, "Impossible, impossible, absolutely impossible. How can a mere cultivation of the golden immortal rank block the power of my 9-story heaven's burial?" Kid, who exactly are you? Not to mention 3 years of cultivation. Even if he trained for 30 years, it would still be impossible for him to withstand this attack. Long Fei smirked and said, I am your ancestor. Supreme God was enraged and said, Brat, the result of being so arrogant in front of me is death. Boom! The power of the immortal realm exploded. Supreme God hacked at Xiang Longfei with his palm. Let's see if you die or not. Angry. The golden light on Supreme God's body became even more dazzling. The boss had gone berserk, and in this state, the Supreme God's strength attack was even more ferocious. His speed was increased by all of his attributes, but the damage he could take increased as well. Rampage was a type of attack that converted defense into offense. The more powerful the attack, the weaker the defense. This was also a chance for Long Fei. Seeing that he had reached the Supreme God in the blink of an eye, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. Yan Huang ancestor suddenly said, Directly in front of us, boom. The speed of the Supreme God was too fast, to the point where Long Fei was unable to see his figure clearly. He could only rely on the aura of the Yan Huang ancestor, and upon hearing the ancestor's furious roar, Long Fei became excited. He struck out with his right palm. Boom! He threw out a palm attack. It was also at this moment that the power of the 9-story heaven that Long Fei had just swallowed exploded out. Devouring vein, absorbing and releasing powers. To be able to absorb the incomparably powerful energy through the fusion of devouring vein and release an even more powerful energy, the devouring vein was like a chemical catalyst, and no matter what kind of energy it refined, it would be able to produce an even more powerful energy. The Supreme God had just landed. His eyes trembled. The power of the first 9-story heaven's burial exploded. Supreme God also exclaimed out loud, Impossible! This is absolutely impossible. Rumble! Rumble! The air shattered one after another. Even the power of the spatial laws of the god's martial continent was about to collapse from Long Fei's attack. The power of this move was too freaking strong. Yan Huang ancestor said complacently, It's a must. How can the blood vein created by me, Sky's sovereign Yan Huang, not be strong? Ha! However, brat, don't use it carelessly. Your current devouring vein is still in an activated state and can't be fully activated. Your road of blood vein has only just started. It's the same as the killing path you cultivate. There's no turning back. Once it stops, you will be devoured. The Yan Huang ancestor reminded. The martial arts training was originally something that defied the will of the heavens. There was no regression at all. Since that's the case, then follow me to kill them all. Long Fei roared in his heart. After the power of the 9-story heaven's burial was released, a bright red number floated up above Supreme God's head. 192232111 inch of damage, close to 200 million points. Long Fei himself was stupefied. He was excited about the strength of the devouring vein and made the power of the 9-story heaven's burial incomparable. At the same time, he was angry because Supreme God was really too vicious. If the power of the 9-story heaven's burial were to explode, there was no chance for him to survive. If you want me to die, then I'll send you to hell first. While he's sick, take his life. The power of the 9-story heaven's burial had heavily injured the Supreme God. 1 billion HP became 800 million HP. Long Fei took a step forward and angered the Dragon Salyer, killing God Chop. A blade came down. The power of God slaying exploded outwards. Just as the knife fell, Long Fei released the second move, Dark Dragon God Slash. Another slash. The Dragon Salyer withdrew. The Pangu axe was summoned and continued its attack. In the end, Long Fei leapt high into the air and chopped down with his axe, severing platform. Rumble. Nox smashed down with his big move. Not dead. Long Fei did not stop either. The idea moved and roared loudly. Big sword, descend for me. The sky split open. His body sank, and the ground cracked, forming a huge pit. Long Fei did not stop as his body moved. He grabbed with both of his fists, and the power of the King Kong Fury Ape exploded out, striking right at the Supreme God's head. "You dare to provoke this, Daddy? This is what happens when you touch my brother." Bang, bang, bang. The damage continued to float. At the same time, Long Fei's power of celestial value was also falling crazily. He was continuously releasing techniques, and at the same time, he was not using his power of celestial value, which could not be replenished just with the fairy stone's spirit root alone. Long Fei did not care. He only had one thought in his mind: to explode Supreme God. Boom! Gravity knife, 10,000 times gravity. Boom! The saber chopped down. 9 knives force. Ashura. Swish, 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 swish. Attacks came one after another, followed by critical hits. 10 minutes. Supreme God was completely crushed by Long Fei. He couldn't move. The Supreme God did not have any opportunity to retaliate. Long Fei's cultivation technique continued to attack in tandem, and his highest combo had already reached over 30,000. This was an incomparably terrifying existence. However, Supreme God did not die. 1 billion HP. This was simply too terrifying. Huff, huff, huff. Long Fei gasped for breath. The more than 700,000 power of celestial value points had already been completely used up. Seeing that Supreme God still had a few 100 million HP left, Long Fei swallowed his saliva and cursed in his heart. "This is F** King Invincible HP. The value of the power of Celestial S had been exhausted. Long Fei's power of celestial value dried up. It was the same as having no mana. He was no longer able to unleash his cultivation technique. However, Supreme God slowly stood up, his eyes revealing a cold intent. Chapter 998, Double Berserk, Explode. Chapter 998, Double Berserk, Explode. A 1 billion HP boss was too terrifying. Just 1 billion HP was enough to make people go crazy. But Supreme God was not the strongest boss in God's martial continent. There was still the Stage Elder in Outer Space Palace, and there was still the super unrivaled existence of the Flying Fairyland. So to what extent would their HP go up to? He glanced at Gu Tongtian, who was in the air, and thought to himself, Supreme God of the Immortal Realm, with 1 billion HP, an elder on the stage with more than 1 billion HP. Just as Long Fei was gasping for breath, the Supreme God was gloomy and cold. He laughed sinisterly and said, "Is the power of Celestial exhausted? Long Fei, go crazy again. He's here to attack me. It won't do. Ha ha." Supreme God laughed sinisterly. His entire body was covered in blood from being smashed by Long Fei, and his eyes were currently filled with killing intent. In the last 10 minutes, he was completely stomped by Long Fei. Very unhappy. The anger in his heart was constantly accumulating. He was extremely displeased with the amount of anger in his heart. Now, when Long Fei's power of Celestial was completely exhausted, no matter how strong he was, he would not be able to release it. In that case, Long Fei would be like a fish on the chopping block, able to kill anything he wanted. Supreme God walked out of the deep hole step by step, blood dripping all over. The aura emitted from his body was extremely terrifying. The people around God Emperor Academy were all dumbstruck. They never would have thought that Supreme God would be crushed to such a state. However, Supreme God was indeed a Supreme God. Other than a few superpower houses, no one could kill him, and no one could avoid him either. Supreme God is angry. Long Fei is going to die. I've never seen the Supreme God so angry. It's too terrifying. Gu Tongtian could not help but worry. With the power of Celestial exhausted, there was no longer any room for a backhand attack. His voice turned heavy as he said, "Supreme God, you can't kill him." The corner of Supreme God's mouth lifted as he coldly laughed. "Master, your life is more precious than anything. Do you think you can stop me? No one can stop me from killing him." "No one," Supreme God roared out, his expression becoming incomparably furious. After being crushed by Long Fei for exactly 10 minutes, all sorts of powerful forces exploded wildly, causing him to lose his human form. He was enraged, and his rage reached the skies, So he had to kill Long Fei, destroy Long family. He had to. With a roar, Supreme God's figure disappeared. He was afraid that Gu Tongtian would stop him. Once Gu Tongtian made a move to stop him, he would have no chance at all. The difference between a mortal realm and the flying fairyland could not be described, and the difference between heaven and earth could not be described. Thus, he had to go first. Long Fei died. The illusory image of the Supreme God pressed down from the sky. This time, a golden sword appeared in his hand. Yin Huang ancestor immediately became excited. Good stuff. Long Fei smirked. Then it's mine. And then, as Long Fei looked at the rushing Supreme God, the corner of his mouth slightly curled up. He said with a smile, I've said this before, if anyone wants to kill me, I'll make them go to hell first. Your Supreme God is the same as well, ever since the day you provoked me. No, for the moment I saw you, I swore to blow you up. While they were talking, Long Fei's forehead turned sinister as he bellowed, Hand of Noxus, descend for me. Demacia power, descend. Boom, boom. The two great sage realm, 7th stage, Holy General S descended. Summoning them did not require the consumption of power of Celestial. Moreover, Long Fei doesn't have a power of Celestial. Not really. He still had Xianbao Spirit Stones S, which was worth 1 million each time. The reason why he did not use the turn Yin Long in a god was because it was a future move, and the turn Yin Long in a god had not been used in front of living people yet. So these were his last 2 trump cards. He would not easily reveal his trump card. Kill. Long Fei moved. Galen raised his great sword and took the lead to rush forward. Hand of Noxus followed closely behind. Humph. These things that don't exist yet again, just based on them? Supreme God snorted coldly in disdain, completely disregarding Galen and Nox. Being able to kill 8 Great Fairy Hall Elder S, however. Who is he? He was the Supreme God of the Palace Question of God. He was a supreme existence. It was impossible to kill him. However, 3 years ago now, Nox also leveled up. Moreover, Long Fei spent an entire 3 years to craft a set of divine equipment and 6 infinity sword. Shua, a long string of damage floated above Supreme God's head. Without waiting for him to react, Galen's big treasured sword rotated, and with a tornado-like slash, it released berserk damage. Their attack power was more than 10 times of Long Fei's, and their injuries were the same. Every single time it was a 100% critical hit. Every time he was stunned, Supreme God was blocked. Long Fei had a complacent look on his face as he pointed at Supreme God and scolded, Come and kill me. I'm going to beat you to death today. I'm going to take your place, and you're going to fucking beat me up. So cheap. Supreme God was completely blocked by Galen and Nox. The two's teamwork had reached a perfect level. He had completely ravaged the Supreme God. Just as Supreme God wanted to attack, Galen sent AQ up, and his unfathomable cultivation technique was interrupted. Before he could even react, it was already a crippling blow, and when he tried to escape, he was pulled back with an iron hook. The key point was super critical hit damage. The 6 of them exerted their full power. Supreme God was even more shocked after getting hit so heavily that he couldn't even react. He couldn't use his strength at all, and could only get beaten up by Galen and Nox. This is the power of the 6 Infinity Sword. Ha! If it's one-on-one, perhaps they might not be a match for your Supreme God, but in the past 3 years, their coordination has reached a perfect and flawless stage. Long Fei was ecstatic in his heart. 3 years of time had not been wasted. To deal with Supreme God, they were sufficient. And Long Fei stared at the golden light on Supreme God's body. The idea moved and controlled. You can begin. Yes, sir. 5 drops of black-colored blood essence were already floating on Supreme God's body, and he had already triggered Nox's big move long ago. Receiving Long Fei's order, Nox suddenly jumped up, raised his basketball, and smashed it down with his axe. A loud sound echoed out. An extremely high damage figure floated up. Long Fei became excited and said, Galen, use your big swords to kill it. Galen's big move had a berserk attribute. If you add Long Fei's striking energy value to that, that would mean he had become even more berserk. Galen let out a loud roar. Ah! The great sword fell from the sky. Long Fei's mind tightened and said, "Explode for me." Chapter 999, Supreme God Test. Chapter 999, Supreme God Test. Boom. The light of justice crushed down and exploded above Supreme God's head. His body began to crack. It was chopped into two halves. His sea of consciousness was shattered into pieces. A string of damage values appeared above his head. 6 endless. Such a great sword with a critical hit. I'm just asking if you're strong or not. I'm asking you, who else could it be? The system sounded out. Long Fei's mind tightened and immediately said, "Release your striking energy value." 100 striking value S disappeared. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for violently killing Supreme God for obtaining 1 million points of experience points, 280,000 points of power of Celestial S, and 10 points of energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Tomb of the 9-Story Heaven. Do you wish to cultivate it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Ancient Golden Sword. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Meteorite Immortal Root. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Heaven's Wheel Immortal Root. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Heavenly Demon Root. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Power of Heavenly Fate. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 12,031 Immortal Crystals. Congratulations, player. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special reward for killing Supreme God. The reward is Holy Artillery 2. The notification rang like crazy. An existence that could overturn the heavens. Long Fei was ecstatic. Berserk is berserk. Exploding will make me feel good. All these things are too sharp. Even the ancient golden sword was blown out. Wait. Ancestor, my ancient golden sword, can you? Your sister. Before Long Fei could react, the ancient golden sword was engulfed by the Yin Huang ancestor. He did not even know what its attribute was. Too bitter. Yin Huang ancestor laughed slyly and said, "After I absorb all of the sword's power, if my cultivation can take another step, my remnant soul can reform and reunite. Hee. Boy, this golden sword is of no use to you." Useless. Let me take a look as well. Can you not act like this? Long Fei said bitterly. The only weapon. Without even taking a single glance at it. Long Fei's liver was trembling. The pain was extremely unbearable. Yin Huang ancestor said, next time, go F***K your sister." Although Long Fei only complained on the surface that the ancient golden sword had been eaten, he did not blame Yin Huang ancestor at all. If he heard that the Yin Huang ancestor could reunite his residual soul, then the patriarch's strength would definitely receive a huge boost. The instant Long Fei killed the Supreme God, Gu Tongtian frowned, but at the same time, a powerful energy absorbed the primordial spirit of the Supreme God. His consciousness shattered, and his primordial spirit left his body. Gu Tongtian laughed coldly in his heart. And then, without waiting for everyone to react, Gu Tongtian immediately announced, "From now on, Long Fei is Palace Question of God." As soon as his voice faded, the entire God Emperor city was shaken. She also woke up from a shock of Long Fei killing the Supreme God. Supreme God was killed by Long Fei? Oh my God, what happened just now? Long Fei of the Golden Immortal rank killed the Supreme God of the Immortal Realm? That is the supreme powerhouse of the Immortal Domain. Why? Amidst the shock, another voice followed. "Long live Long Fei. Mad Dragon, Mad Dragon, Mad Dragon." Their voices slowly spread out from one place. And in the end, all the people of the God Emperor city shouted the two words Wild Dragon, especially the warriors of the young generation. Their blood boiled and they roared hysterically. Long Fei was their idol, their hero. All of the Fairy Hall Elders kneeled down. The students of God Emperor Academy also followed suit and kneeled and said in unison, "We pay our respects to Supreme God Long Fei, the current Ji-Zun of the Palace Question of God." A bit of breakthrough. However, Long Fei could not be considered a sovereign of the Palace Question of God, because the Palace Question of God had always been controlled by Gu Tongtian, even when the Supreme God was still in power. The Supreme God was just a chess piece for Gu Tongtian. Gu Tongtian smiled faintly. "Long Fei congratulates you." Long Fei's mouth curved up as he looked at Gu Tongtian, who was high up in the sky. The golden light was glaring, and it covered the sky. Gu Tongtian said, "You are now the sovereign king of the Hall of Immortals. You can command the immortal domain, and you can obtain everything in the immortal domain. You are the representative of the immortal domain." However, Gu Tongtian said, "There's a test even for Supreme Goddess, and only those who pass it can be considered to be the real Supreme God, and only those who have passed the test can be considered to be the true masters of immortal domain." Test? Bullshit. There was no such thing as a test. This was something that Gu Tongtian had forced. Long Fei did not reveal any expression, but he knew what was going on clearly in his heart. At the moment, he had no way to deal with Gu Tongtian, and Galen and Nox were not even a match for him. He might not even be able to handle one of Gu Tongtian's attacks. The difference in levels was too great. At this time, he couldn't go head-to-head with Gu Tongtian. Moreover, his name was Yellow, and he hadn't reached the stage where he could attack at any time. Long Fei laughed. "What test is it?" Gu Tongtian said, "It's a test. You should know that the Magic Tribe's million-strong army is pressing on. Your test is to resist the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe, right? You cannot use any God Emperor Academy S. As for the people of Palace Question of God, you can only rely on yourself." F***CK. Just as Gu Tongtian finished speaking, Long Fei cursed angrily. The reason why he killed the Supreme God was so he could become the head of the immortal domain. It was to order the various families and powers to fight against the Magic Tribe's army. But with just a single sentence from Gu Tongtian, his plans were shattered. This move was too ruthless. Gu Tongtian hit the snake until it was 7 inches away, directly hitting Long Fei's vitals. Gu Tongtian's voice sunk, and every corner of the God Emperor city heard his voice, and he said, "This is a test for the new Supreme God, so if he passes the test, he will be the #1 expert of the immortal domain. I do not wish for anyone to help him during this test, and you are not helping him, but harming him." Another ruthless blow. It directly forced Long Fei into a dead end. Break all his possibilities. He wanted to become one of the S, but now, nothing. And the people of God Emperor City, who did not know the truth, would only treat this as a test for Long Fei, and would not go against the Magic Tribe's army. Too vicious. He had to say it. Gu Tongtian was cunning. His few words were even sharper than the attacks of super powerful moves. He directly forced Long Fei to the edge of the cliff. So what if he killed Supreme God? He would get nothing. He had to rely on himself to fight against the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe. He was simply courting death. Chapter 1000. Reaching Long Fei's Bottom Line. Chapter 1000. Reaching Long Fei's bottom line. Long Fei was very unhappy. Anger-raged. Initially, he thought he could replace the Supreme Goddess and do whatever he wanted, or control all the forces within the God Emperor City. Everything that he had imagined had been shattered by Gu Tongtian's test. Although he had won over Supreme God, he had lost in a complete and utter mess. With just a few words, he defeated Long Fei. This was the powerhouse. He was an old monster who had lived for more than 400 years. Against such an old monster, even if Long Fei had 10 heads, it still wouldn't be enough. Who is Gu Tongtian? Gu Wuji's ancestor. How could he tolerate his own juniors being bullied? Although Supreme God had not satisfied him these past few years, he was still his direct disciple. If his disciple was killed in front of him, wasn't that just slapping his face? How could he let Long Fei have it easy? Long Fei roared in his heart. Gu Tong Tian, you old bastard, just you wait, I'll definitely blow your ass. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, I accept the test. Very good. With a smug look in his eyes, Gu Tong Tian said, You've passed the test. You're the supreme god, but if you don't pass the test. Long Fei asked, So what if I can't pass? Gu Tong Tian's voice became cold and sinister. If you can't pass, not only will you not become the supreme god, you will also have to take responsibility for the crimes you committed, killing the supreme god and disturbing the order within the immortal domain. Long Fei's expression changed slightly as he said, You want to dig a hole for me to jump in? Gu Tong Tian said, Then don't jump. Do you have a choice? Does your Fengyuan Business Alliance have a choice? Does your Nantian region have a choice? Does your Long family have a choice? Long Fei, you have no choice, understand? I am not the supreme god, and my methods are not something that a soft and indecisive person like the supreme god could think of. Gu Tongtian's voice sounded within Long Fei's sea of consciousness. It was very plain. It did not cause a single ripple in Long Fei's sea of consciousness. This was a super powerhouse. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. You're threatening me? Gu Tongtian said with a bland smile. You can treat this as a threat, or you can consider my words as motivation. You can only follow the path that I have set for you. You touched the Nantian region? Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. His nerves tensed up. Everything else was fine, but the people of the Nantian region, whoever touched them would die. Long Fei would risk everything to fight. The moment he spoke, Long Fei connected the idea to the Xianbao spirit stones and was ready to release the Turn Yin Long into God at any time. Gu Tongtian smiled faintly and said, Nantian region is still Nantian region, and Long family is still Long family. Your brothers, your family are still your family, but if you don't listen, then they will all disappear. Or not. If he wanted to do it, he had to do it all. Gu Tongtian was such a person. Ever since Long Fei entered the immortal domain, he had been making preparations. After Long Zhanting, he had always paid attention to the Long family. Long Fei was the first person, other than Long Zhanting, to enter the God Emperor Academy in the past 100 years. Whether he was the prophet's son or not, he did not dare to be sure in the past. He was sure that Long Fei was the prophet's son. He definitely can make it to Open Dragon Domain. Long Fei glared and said, Gu Tongtian, explain yourself clearly. Did you touch my family or not? If you don't listen to me, they will disappear. If you listen to me obediently, I guarantee that they will be very safe. Your grandfather and Crazy Long, your maids, Jojo, the leopard girl, and Luluashi. I guarantee that nothing will happen to your 4 great King Kong brothers. Cluck, 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 cluck. With the sound of joints popping, he clenched his fists. The anger in Long Fei's heart continued to erupt, and his mind was filled with intense killing intent. Yin Huang Ancestor immediately said worriedly, Brat, calm down. Nothing has happened to them yet. You have to calm down. Long Fei was not stupid. Anger raged in his heart, but he did not lose his mind. On the contrary, he was incomparably calm. In that instant, Long Fei's fists loosened, and his face revealed a smile that resembled the death gods. Very good. Gu Tongtian smiled slightly. Be good, understand? Be good and listen, your family is fine. Ah! Gu Tongtian's wild laughter resounded in Long Fei's sea of consciousness, and then he said in a loud voice, Let us wait for the birth of the new supreme god. Ha ha! Laughter rang out. Even the God Emperor's city was cheering. At the same time, Gu Tongtian said, Fairy Hall Elder, listen up. All of you understand Outer Space Palace. Long Fei, you better not disappoint me. Gu Tongtian revealed a playful smile. What kind of existence was Long Fei in his eyes? It was just a pawn. He could play however he wanted. This was what he wanted. Gu Tongtian led the mini Fairy Hall Elder S and left. Long Fei stood where he was without moving, with bloodshot eyes. The killing intent in his eyes was extremely strong, and he enunciated each word clearly. Those who touch my family die. At this moment, Fat Man Shun and the others felt excited, because Long Fei had killed Supreme God. However, when they saw the murderous look in the great Long Fei's eyes, their expressions immediately changed. "Boss, what's wrong?" Long Fei withdrew his aura and said, "It's nothing. Let's talk when we get back." The plan had been messed up by Gu Tong Tian. What if the demon beast attacks 3 days later? What about the million-strong magic tribe army? Long Fei fell into a desperate situation all of a sudden. Right now, it was even more serious than he imagined. What made Long Fei the most unhappy was not this, but the Nantian region's family members. He had always been worried that something would happen to the Nantian region, but he never thought that it was the palace question of God who would make a move on his family members. Moving against his family was something he hated the most. The flames of fury burned. It burned furiously. However, Long Fei didn't say anything. Outer Space Palace, Forbidden Region. In a golden pond, Gu Tong Tian stood in midair and closed his eyes. Suddenly, all sorts of ancient runes appeared in the air above his body. The runes were like snakes that were poured into the golden pond. Following that, a burst of primordial spirit energy flooded in. Gu Tong Tian's eyes opened wide, and he shouted out, "God Lake of Soul, return, condense your flesh." Open. At this moment, a new body was slowly being reconstructed. 2 hours later, his eyes slowly opened and looked at Gu Tong Tian, who was at the side of the divine pond. There was excitement and incomparable respect in his eyes, and he said, "Disciple pays his respects to Master, Supreme God." Resurrection. Gu Tong Tian smiled faintly. In another place, midnight, God Emperor Mountain, halfway up the mountain, Long Fei said heavily, "Presbyter Chiu, let's begin. I want to enter the God Emperor Fairyland again." Chapter 1001. I want to blast God Emperor Fairyland. Chapter 1001. I want to blast God Emperor Fairyland returning to the Nantian region. Long Fei didn't have time. As long as he returned to the Nantian region now, he would have no choice but to give up the city attack. He would fail, and all 50 of his god's martial sect members would be killed. He couldn't leave. Furthermore, Gu Tong Tian would not let him leave that easily. Stay in the God Emperor Academy to fight against the monsters and the Magic Tribe's army? With Long Fei's current cultivation and current level, he was simply too weak. If he was really by himself, then he really wouldn't be able to hold on. 3 more days. The only thing he could do was to try his best to level up and break through. Long Fei was forced to a dead end. In such a desperate situation, he had no other choice. Presbyter Chiu, here are 2 Yuan CNS with immortal roots. Take them. Long Fei took out the immortal foundation that erupted from Supreme God's body. He kept one for himself, then said, "I will stay inside for 3 days. Tell Sister Yunshan to prepare as many immortal crystals as possible." With that, Long Fei turned and entered the God Emperor Fairyland. S body was engulfed by the light and entered Secret World. Outer Space Palace in the Deity's Lake. He was still slowly recovering in the Divine Pond. His primordial spirit was absorbed by Gu Tong Tian, and before he died, he didn't enter the reincarnation hell, but rather was directly injected into the Divine Pond. Thus, his primordial spirit knew what happened after he died. "Master, when did you send someone to the Nantian region?" Supreme God was a little doubtful. Gu Tong Tian had been cultivating in the Forbidden Grounds the entire time and didn't have the time to send anyone to the Nantian region. Gu Tong Tian laughed faintly. "Nantian region? I didn't send anyone." Huh. The Supreme God was startled, and after being silent for a few seconds, he came to a realization and said, "Expert Master, this way Long Fei will think that you have kidnapped his family. He will completely follow your orders, just like how he used to control Long Zhanting. Master is wise." "Ha!" Gu Tong Tian laughed complacently and said, "Although force is important, force is more important. Other than that, although I have not sent anyone to Nantian region, but Nantian region had been in trouble for a long time now, and I believe Long Fei sensed it too. It's also because he was restricted by me this way. His soldiers did not send anyone to the Nantian region. Of course, He also did not put the Nantion region in his eyes at all. As long as he was willing, he could crush Nantion region within minutes. Supreme God's eyes turned cold, and he said, "Who didn't send anyone to Nantion region? Ah, how could something happen to the Nantion region? In the 5 great regions of Immortal Domain, could it be that there is some other force that wants to make a move against the Nantion region? Master, could it be Song Qiansheng from Dark Domain? Very strange. Immortal Domain was the closest to Nantion region. Since Gu Tongtian didn't attack, then how did something happen to Nantion region? Gu Tongtian slightly said, God's martial continent, 5 great regions, 5 great regions. Nantion region's Dragon Salyer, Immortal Domain's Zhuge Sword, Dark Domain's Hell Wheel, Dragon Domain's Sky-Burning Dragon Gun, other thing. Do you know what this holy artifact is? Savage Domain was unknown. It could be said that it rarely appeared in everyone's line of sight. Very few people dared to set foot in the Savage Domain. It was as if the god's martial continent did not exist. When Gu Tongtian asked this question, the Supreme God was stunned, because he actually did not know what the Savage Domain's holy artifact were. After so many years, the 5 great holy artifact had already disappeared for millions of years. The Dragon Salyer also only appeared because of Long Fei's appearance. Zhuge's sword? After it shattered, it never appeared again. As for Dark Domain's Hell's Wheel, it had never appeared in tens of millions of years. The 5 holy artifacts were still a legend. As for Savage Domain's holy artifact, no one mentioned them, nor did anyone remember to bring them up. Supreme God said, I have never stopped talking about Savage Domain's holy artifact. Master, what exactly is it? Gu Tongtian's gaze tightened and said indifferently, Savage Domain's holy artifact is a door. The Supreme God asked, a door? What kind of holy artifact is that? Gu Tongtian said, it's a teleportation gate, and during teleportation, the gate is connected to another dimension. It is the holy artifact that has been guarded by the Savage Domain for tens of thousands of years, and no one knows about this anymore. I'm not sure if the accident in the Nantion region is caused by the Savage Domain. If the Master of the Wilderness really opens the gate and the outer space powerhouse enters, maybe. Gu Tongtian did not continue. Moreover, he did not really care about these things, as what he cared about was when Long Fei would be able to enter Open Dragon Domain, and this was what he was concerned about. As for the life and death of the Nantion region, who cares what the hell? He only used the Nantion region to control Long Fei. It was that simple. Recover your strength as soon as possible. I have something I need you to do. Gu Tongtian commanded. The reason he saved Supreme God was because of his strength. Level 1. He could be considered a top-notch powerhouse. There were many things that Gu Tongtian could use on him. Supreme God immediately replied, Yes, disciple. Master, a 1,000,000-strong magic tribe army is suppressing the border. Are you really going to let Long Fei block it all by himself? Gu Tongtian said, Of course, he will definitely fail if this is the case, and he won't be able to become Palace Question of God Supreme God, so he will understand how weak he is, and then I will use Nantion region to threaten him, and I believe that I can definitely force his potential out, and will definitely be able to find Dragon Tail to him. Man's potential is limitless. The potential of the people of the Long family is limitless and limitless. He wanted to completely expel all of Long Fei's potential, because only then would he be able to find the Dragon Domain in the God Emperor Fairyland. Ding! Do you wish to absorb the heavenly demon root? Fuse. The first thing Long Fei did after stepping into the God Emperor Fairyland was do his own blend of Fairy Vein, because these powerhouse in the God Emperor Fairyland's tombs started from his level. The higher his level was, the stronger the powerhouse S would be, and the more experience points they would have. This was the key point. Long Fei needed experience, a large amount of experience, to level up. 3 days. He had to become extremely strong. He was currently at the peak of the Golden Immortal Realm, and with his own strength, if he met with the powerhouse of the Immortal Realm, he would only end up being oppressed, even if he were to fuse with the Devouring Vein now. If not for the outburst of Galen and Nox, he wouldn't have been able to kill Supreme God at all. To become stronger, leveling up was the only way. Buzz. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei Blend of Fairy Vein for succeeding. In this instant, the experience points that had been accumulated in Long Fei's slots were poured out like a flood. Ding. Ding. For consecutive notifications sounded. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. 3 billion experience points, and he's only leveled up to level 4. F*CK me. Long Fei muttered in his heart. Clenching his fists tightly, he looked at the powerhouse's tomb that filled the entire world. I want to destroy God Emperor Fairyland. Chapter 1002, Life or Death. Chapter 1002, Life or Death. God Emperor Fairyland was a very special secret world. It revolves around the rule of encountering strong and weak. Last time, Long Fei was only a virtual immortal stage, so the powerhouse that came out of the grave was also a virtual immortal stage. Now, the God Emperor Fairyland's graveyard of gods had returned to its previous position. Just like the system update, Long Fei's current level was at the 4th stage of the Yuan CNS, so the powerhouse that came out was also at the 4th stage of the Yuan CNS, God Emperor Fairyland. If you can't do it in one try, it will be refreshed. Boom! The grave of the powerhouse was broken apart as it rushed out with the same realm as Long Fei, a 4th stage Yuan Xian. Long Fei muttered to himself. As expected, it's the same as what I thought. Kill! The dragon salure in Long Fei's hand moved and slashed forward. After a few moves, after being brutally killed by Long Fei, the system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Powerhouse for obtaining 35,000 experience, 50 power of celestial, and 1 energy values. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering Opening God Emperor Fairyland Quest. Mission: Clear up God Emperor Fairyland level. SS reward. Level +1. All skills +1. Power of celestial value +1 million. Points +100,000. Acquired special power reward. Time: 1 time. Cannot be repeated. Punishment: unable to connect to God Emperor Fairyland. Unable to leave. Or born. Or die. Long Fei said without any hesitation. I accept. In such a desperate situation, did he have a choice? No. There was only one way to break out of this predicament, and that was to crush everything. Huff! Gravity Troll. Come out. Rumble. The Gravity Troll walked out of thin air with a giant mace in its hand and knelt down on one knee, saying, Master. Long Fei said, Turn over all of these tombs for me. The Gravity Troll immediately said, As you command. Do you want to crush the grave and release those powerhouse life forms? Or do you want me to kill them all? Use your gravity to crush these tombs. Long Fei ordered. The Gravity Troll's gravitational system and its uniqueness could make the surroundings lose its gravitational force and could also increase it by thousands or even tens of thousands of times the gravity. Yes, sir. The Gravity Troll's brows twitched and the gravitational force on its body began to burn. 100,000 times gravity. Activate. Boom! A blast wave of energy flames shot out. As far as the eye could see, the entire tomb had been smashed open, and one powerhouse after another rushed out, hovering in the air. In less than half a minute, the sky was filled with people. They were all people stronger than Long Fei. You juniors actually dared to barge into the God Emperor's screen. Quickly leave, and I'll spare your little life. A powerhouse said loudly. Long Fei smirked. Cut the crap, let's start. You're courting death. The powerhouse bellowed out in anger. Crush him to pieces. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless powerhouse rushed at Xiang Long Fei, densely packed and overwhelming. Long Fei held onto the dragon's salure tightly and did not retreat. Instead, he crazily rushed up to it, and by its side, the Gravity Troll firmly protected Long Fei. Lay him. Boom! A clap of thunder rumbled in the sky. The instant when all the powerhouse surrounded Long Fei densely in an instant, Lei Mo walked out from the void and laughed out excitedly. It's finally my turn to show off my might, ha. Laugh at your sister. Long Fei leaped up and a chestnut burst out, smashing onto the top of Lei Mo's head as he shouted out, "Hurry up and blast them for me." A large bump appeared on Lei Mo's head. He grimaced in pain and said, "It's not even good for me to become cocky for a while. It's easy for me to unlock the earth-binding seal." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei smashed his fist down onto the bag with incomparable accuracy, causing another small bump to swell up on top of the big lump. "Master, I can't act cocky anymore. I can't act cocky. I'm going to fight. I'm going to attack." Lei Mo had a bitter look on his face. The giant demon and earth demon gloated and said at the same time, "Serves you right." Long Fei shouted, "Everyone be serious. Whoever dares to be cocky, I will break their little JJ." The three devil chrysanthemum tightened and did not dare to say another word. "Blast it for me." Long Fei frowned. The attacks of the Powerhouse S were about to weaken. If he did not kill them, then the dead one would be Long Fei. At this time, Lei Mo did not dare to be careless. The aura on his body churned, and streaks of lightning filled his entire body. Lightning cut. Buzz. Lei Mo's body sank, and the lightning power within his body shot out from his chest like a beam of light, like a halo of light. He was unable to resist, and at that moment, time seemed to have stopped as the Powerhouse S who were charging overfroze in midair. Next, walala, walala, a series of explosions sounded out. His body was struck by the lightning, and he was cut in half. Not a single powerhouse within a few hundred meters had survived, as they were all slashed to death. Thousands of powerhouse instantly killed. Seeing this scene, Long Fei had to admit that his scalp felt a little numb, and at the same time, he was extremely excited. That's a piece of cake, isn't it? The seal was undone. The bindings on Lei Mo's body all disappeared. Moreover, in this period of time, his power had undergone special transformations and become even more powerful. As if the system beep had exploded, Long Fei's eardrums were about to shatter from the shock. With a roar, he said, "Awesome, this is the rhythm. Keep going." Haha. Boss, this thunder slash should be amazing, right? Lei Mo was smug again. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, the Earth Demon disdainfully said, "What? Now you're awesome for undoing the seal, right? Boss, let me out and let this bastard experience my power." Lei Mo immediately said, "Big bro Earth Demon, give me some face. I just got on the stage. Shouldn't you at least let me have another go? I still have a big move that I haven't used yet." The Earth Demon said, "You call that little strength of yours a big move? Don't take it out and make a fool of yourself. Just watch me." The giant demon's hammer shook as he said, "Earth Demon, are you that awesome?" Table of contents. He could restrain Lei Mo, but he was very afraid of the gravity troll. His power of Earth would become useless due to the gravity, and the Earth Demon said in a speechless manner, "All right, you go first." Long Fei shouted, "Stop wasting your breath on me. Go at me together. Release all of your major moves and powers for me." "Yes, sir. Boss, I can't wait any longer. Ha ha ha. Kill them all." Chapter 1003, Demon Beast Assembling. Chapter 1003, Demon Beast Assembling. Rumble. Rumble, rumble. Powerful energy constantly exploded in the air above the God Emperor city, as if the sky had split open. It was the same underground as the unceasingly brutal roars of Demon Beast. It was as if the hell's ferocious beasts were trying to break out of their cages and out of hell. In the sky, in the depths of the earth, an evil force was brewing and getting closer to the surface. In the depths of the mountain range, there were many demon beast armies gathered. Demon beasts were gathering. The people of the God Emperor city were afraid all day because all of this felt like the end of the world. The demon beast's heart throbbed. The suppression of the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe had caused the #1 city of the gods' martial continent to be in a precarious situation. They all knew about the Magic Tribe's great army pressuring the land. But what were the devastation of the demon beast, the howls from the depths of hell, and the roars from the sky? They did not know that the God Emperor's city was about to be attacked by monsters. Not only were there demon beasts on God's martial continent, there were also some extremely strong beasts. God Emperor's city, God's Phoenix Pavilion. Everyone gathered in the small courtyard. Xiao Wandao said, "There's still 2 days until Long Fei comes out of seclusion. Within these 2 days, we need to make all the preparations." At first, they didn't know what Long Fei was worried about other than a million-strong army. Now they knew. They wanted to make the best preparations and waited for Long Fei to come out from closed-door cultivation. Fu Shishan said, "We have already gathered 100,000 deathsworn, and we have prepared 100,000 immortal crystals for Long Fei." Song Qianqian said, "I have also contacted the people from Dark Domain, and they have agreed to help." Aoya replied, "Those students who left the God Emperor Academy also agreed to help out." Everyone voiced out their opinions. Fat Min Shan said, "Gu Tongtian's move is too ruthless. What Supreme Gods test? It is simply dog shit. This is making things difficult for Boss." Originally, after Boss killed off Supreme God's influence, he was suddenly beaten back to his original state. Not only that, all the warriors who were stunned were all looking forward to Long Fei passing the test by himself. Qiao Wandao said, "Saying all these now is already useless. We just have to do our own thing." Waiting for Long Fei to come out from closed-door cultivation, Western Desel territory. "Master, the Magic Tribe's army will be able to withstand my attacks in 2 days. At that time, the God Emperor's city will be reduced to dust." Zhou Lai said excitedly. He was the great general of the immortal domain, and under his lead, the army of the Magic Tribe advanced quickly. However, he didn't meet any decent opponents along the way. He was looking forward to his battle with the God Emperor's city. The Master of Magic Tribe slightly nodded his head. "We'll follow your plan, but we have to be careful of everything. Do not underestimate the immortal domain. Its true power has yet to be unleashed." Zhou Lai said complacently, "Don't worry, Master. I will definitely be careful. As long as Palace Question of God's powerhouse does not attack, no one in Immortal Domain will be able to stop my Magic Tribe's army. Immortal Domain is just a pile of sand. It's useless." "Right, Master. I heard the cries of all sorts of strange beasts around God Emperor's city yesterday. They came from the sky, the hell, and the deep mountains and marshes. The demon beast from all the great mountains are gathering crazily for some reason. This is something that hasn't happened in God's martial continent before." Zhou Lai couldn't understand. Furthermore, all of the gathered demon beasts are charging towards the God Emperor's city this time. Could it be that the demon beast also realized that the immortal domain is in danger now and wanted to take advantage of the time when he is sick to take his life? Will the demon beast race rise again? Are the demon beast gathering? Master of Magic Tribe tensed up. This was the first time he had heard of such a thing. Moreover, deep underground within a void. Why is that? This sign was very strange. Zhou Lai saw that Master of Magic Tribe was also frowning and could not help but ask, "Don't tell me Monster Army is here for us? Could it be that there are people in Immortal Domain who can still summon and control demon beasts?" Master of Magic Tribe shook his head. "That shouldn't be the case. Monster Army taking advantage of this time to enter, there's only one reason. Their goal is also God Emperor's city." "Huh?" Zhou Lai laughed excitedly and said, "Even if Palace Question of God intervenes now, I won't be able to protect them. These Monster Army are simply the perfect cannon fodder, and I still want to think of a way to break through the city. It looks like I don't have to worry at all now. Master, in 3 days, you will be able to personally visit God Emperor's city and stand on equal footing with him. You will be able to share all of God's martial continent's cultivation resources." "Huh?" Zhou Lai became excited as the image of Song Qianqian appeared in his mind. At that time, you will become Zhou Lai's woman. The master of magic tribes said slightly. This time, the one fighting against the magic tribe's army is Long Fei. You have to be careful of one person. Long Fei. The last battle on the walls of the demon region had caused him to lose all face in front of Song Qianqian. The current him was completely different from 3 years ago, and this time he would definitely trample Long Fei to death. Absolutely. Zhou Lai's forehead turned sinister as he thought to himself, Long Fei, I hope that you won't disappoint me, or you'll be crushed by just one round, haha. You want to steal my woman? You are worthy of being a trash. Outer Space Palace, Hall of Immortals. Gu Tong Tian sat on the seat of the Supreme God. Dozens of elders in the hall whispered to each other. How strange. This has never happened before. What is it? Even the Outer Space Palace was severely affected. The nature's spirit energy is obviously thinner than it was a few days ago, as though it was sucked dry. What exactly is the monster roaring in the sky? Could it be the domain beast that devoured everything? Damn, don't scare me like that. Domain beast can devour planes. If it comes out of nowhere, do you think we will still be alive? Domain beast. A magical beast that devoured space. An incomparably powerful existence. The things that happened around God Emperor City yesterday had caused the elders of the Outer Space Palaces to feel fear in their hearts. After all, it was the first time they had ever heard of it. Even Gu Tongtian was the same. He had never seen anything like this before. It was too strange. The demon beast in the sky and the demon beast deep underground. What kind of demon beast were they exactly? At this moment, a star spirit messenger descended into the Hall of Immortals and said, reporting to the Grand Elder, we did not find Long Fei. He has completely disappeared. Gu Tongtian's heart tightened. It disappeared? Could it really be that kid's doing? Long Fei could not be found in the Great Void Mirror. His aura could not sense Long Fei. Suddenly, Long Fei seemed to have vanished from the face of the earth. One of the elders said, Great Clan Elder, could it be that all of this is caused by Long Fei? This kid has always been quite strange. Maybe it's really him. Gu Tongtian frowned and said coldly, Long Fei, it seems like my warning to you isn't enough. Chapter 1004, Killing All. Chapter 1004, Killing All at this moment. A few other star spirit messengers entered the Hall of Immortals. An envoy reported, in the past 3 years, Fengyuan Business Alliance's Fu Shishan has nurtured 100,000 death soldiers. They are all in 5 properties of Fengyuan Business Alliance, so they are absolutely loyal to Fu Shishan. A few elders of the Dark Domain and more than 300 disciples were also persuaded by Song Qianqian to help Long Fei fight against the enemy together. Chun Tianfei's Shen family was also persuaded by Chun Tianfei to resist the enemy together. Also, this is the God Emperor City. No one could escape the control of the Palace Question of God. Long Fei disappeared. Since that was the case, then there was a need to give Long Fei a bit of a warning. This would let him know what would happen if he disobeyed orders and randomly disappeared, and also let the people of the God Emperor City see what would happen if he secretly helps Long Fei. And then, Gu Tongtian slightly said, I understand. A few minutes later, at the side of the Golden Deity's Lake, Gu Tongtian slightly said, You must really want to take revenge, right? Supreme God's eyes flashed with a sharp light, and he said, Master, even in my dreams I think, this time I will not lose. I definitely will not. I swear on my life. Gu Tongtian laughed. This time, I'm not asking you to deal with Long Fei. Long Fei has a few powers that I need to eliminate, so it can be considered as a warning to Long Fei, to let him know the consequences of disobeying orders. Supreme God immediately said, Please speak. God Emperor Fairyland. The 3 giant demons disappeared. They only appeared for an hour a day, and that was also the reason why their breaking through the seal only appeared for 5 minutes. Now, only Long Fei was left. However, he was not idle and did not do nothing. He was constantly using cultivation techniques and battle techniques to fight, constantly breaking his own limits time after time, again and again. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for slaying first stage Immortal Unity Stage Powerhouse, for obtaining 43,000 experience, 100 power of celestial points, and 1 energy values point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Yuan Xian 5th pin. Chua. Long Fei's attributes were fully recovered. His health point, power of celestial S, and even the wounds on his body were all healed. However, his spiritual force was still in an extremely exhausted state. Super Scion mode activate. Boom! Long Fei roared in his heart. Strength of the Yuan Xian open. Buzz! Long Fei continuously forced himself into dire straits, and looking at the dozen or so first stage Unity Immortal Powerhouse S charging at him, the Dragon Salyer in Long Fei's hands trembled and crazily rushed up, roaring, "Come! All of you come!" If he wasn't crazy, he wouldn't turn into a demon. Long Fei had completely forced himself into a corner. Only in desperate situations would the human potential be stimulated and the human limit be broken. There was only a day left. He had to go all out to break through to an even higher realm. Increasing his cultivation by 1 rank every day was practically like riding a rocket to ordinary people. But to Long Fei, he was not satisfied. He was far from satisfied. Long Fei rushed forward. Half of the 3 days had passed, and he hadn't even gotten to the normal route for God Emperor Fairyland. Moreover, the powerhouse was becoming stronger and stronger. After the fitted realm was the immortal realm, and there was also the flying fairyland. Could he finish the mission? Long Fei was not confident. However, he told himself that there could not be a way out, and that it had to be completed within 3 days. Otherwise, he would die. His brothers and sisters of the gods' martial sect would die, and his relatives in the Nantian region would also be killed because of him. He was going to risk it all. Come on, come again. Long Fei's entire body was covered in blood, and he rushed forward without hesitation. Every time he struck with all his might, he would do his best to increase his strength as much as possible to stimulate even more of his potential. Every time he would fight with everything he had in front of the last battle. Now, Long Fei really had no way out. Midnight, inside God Emperor's city, in a remote place. In a gigantic family-like villa, corpses could be seen everywhere. All of them were killed in one move, and the cultivation of the corpses were all at virtual immortals, powerhouse of golden immortal rank. Yet they were all killed in a single move. This kind of attack was too strong. It was unstoppable. What did you say? All 20,000 warriors died. Fu Shishan's body trembled, and her face paled. Those death soldiers were the elites she nurtured for 3 years, and they were all killed within a short moment. How strong was the opponent? It was hard to imagine. Fu Shishan immediately asked, "Who is it?" Even if it's the Fairy Hall Elder S themselves, they can't do it. Could they be the supreme elders of the Outer Space Palace S? Before she could finish speculating, another person also rushed into the courtyard, saying, "Alliance Head Fu, all 20,000 of the dead warriors from Nanshan Garden have died." What? This was the power that she prepared for Long Fei, the only thing she could do for him. All the 100,000 death soldiers were the elites of the elites, and they were absolutely loyal. But in just a few short minutes, he received news in succession. 40,000 death soldiers were killed just like that. It was also at this time. Xiao Wandao and the others walked out and asked, "What happened?" Fu Shishan said, 40,000 death warriors were killed. Not a single one was left. I'm afraid. Fu Shishan looked at the night sky and asked. Gu Tongtian made his move. Xiao Wandao's face tensed up and said, "Why would he suddenly attack?" Furthermore, no one else knew about the death soldiers. How did he know the location of the death soldiers? Why did Gu Tongtian make a move? Everything had yet to begin. It ended before it even began. Fu Shishan didn't think too much about it and said, "Presbyter Qiu, if they could discover the positions of the 40,000 death warriors, then they must know of the death soldiers from the other 3 places. We must protect them. This is the power that I have prepared for Long Fei. It is the only thing that I can do." Eldest Miss, it's bad. Fu Tianlong ran into the backyard in a hurry and said, "The Chun family. All 637 members of the Chun family have been killed, and not even a single chicken, duck, or dog has survived." At this moment, when Fat Man Chun walked out of the room earlier and heard about this matter, he was stupefied. He did not know how to react and asked, "Uncle Tianlong, what joke are you playing? Who dares to touch my Chun family?" He didn't believe it. The Chun family readmitted the Fat Man Chun. Chun Tianfei did not care about the former hatred, and the Chun family agreed to help him fight the enemy, since that was his family, a place he grew up in. Fu Tianlong looked at Fat Man Chun and said, "Young Master Chun, I am not lying to you. The Chun family has been annihilated." Fat Man Chun's eyes trembled. At this moment, various sounds could be heard from the street. "Hurry up and put out the fire. The general's residence is on fire. Hurry and put out the fire. The Chun family has been wiped out." Blood flowed like a river. Fat Man Chun's body trembled as if he could not stand. With a roar, he charged out like a bolt of lightning. Chapter 1005, Ending. Chapter 1005, Ending. 20,000 more have been killed. Eldest Mississippi, the death sworn from the Eastern Mountain Institution, also. The whole night was bad news. Fu Shishan did not know what to do the entire night, as if he had been stunned. The power they had gathered was completely uprooted in one night. They didn't even have a chance to react. Fu Shishan was going crazy. Both of his eyes were lifeless, his face incomparably ugly. His mouth kept muttering, "It can't be, it can't be, it can't be like this. 100,000 death soldiers is my present to Long Fei. It's the only thing I can do for Long Fei. Why is it so?" He went in and out of the yard, constantly reporting grievous news. Out of 100,000 death warriors, not a single one was left alive. All killed. Moreover, I don't even know who did it. Every time Xiao Wandao went, it was too late. By the time he rushed over, all the death soldiers had already died, without a single exception. They were all killed instantly by an incomparably powerful skill. Even Xiao Wandao himself did not have the confidence to withstand this kind of power. At least a powerhouse of the immortal realm. But the number of powerhouse in the immortal realm could be counted on one hand in the palace question of God. Could it really be that Gu Tong Tian had made his move? To use an open method and an unspoken method. Wasn't this too despicable? Early morning. Fat Man Chen's face was pitch black. He didn't know how he got back to God's Phoenix Pavilion, but he felt like he died. His entire body had lost its soul, the Chun family. The entire clan had been exterminated. From a 100-year-old man to the infant that was in the cradle, not a single person was left alive. They were all killed. It was a tragic scene, and seeing those familiar uncles lying in a pool of blood, Fat Man Chen's heart trembled a little. Finally, his heart had become numb. When he walked into the courtyard, he had become a completely different person from that arrogant and despotic fatty. At this time, Xiao Wandao also walked into the courtyard with a face full of exhaustion. Looking at Fu Shishan, who gently shook his head, he said with a pained expression, "All dead. Sorry, we are too weak. We are one step too slow every time. Our opponents are too strong. At least we have the cultivation of a mortal realm." Aoya walked into the courtyard. With bloodshot eyes and a face full of tears, she muttered, "Yesterday, he agreed to fight against the God Emperor Academy's army with me. He killed all of them one night ago. His methods were extremely cruel." Everyone shivered. Song Chanchan's face was also ugly. He walked into the courtyard and said, "The elders of the Dark Domain, all the warriors have also been killed. One night, all of their preparations had been disintegrated, all destroyed. They didn't even have time to react. In the yard, it was as if they were all dead." In these 3 years, everything that Fu Shishan had done was gone. This was not because the Fengyuan business alliance was gone, but because she had made preparations for Long Fei, and the things she had done for him were gone. Pucci, Fu Shishan spat out a mouthful of blood as he fainted. Man Tuoyuo hurriedly stepped forward and fed Fu Shishan a healing pellet. After slightly sensing the situation, he said, "She's all right. The blow was too strong, and she had fainted. She'll wake up once she finishes sleeping. Why? Why is that? Why is that? Ah! The fat man Chen roared crazily and roared at the sky. It was also at this time. The skies suddenly darkened, and a huge face was imprinted in the sky, sneering disdainfully. Everyone in God Emperor City saw this face. The face of the great clan elder, Gu Tongtian. This is the result of him disobeying orders. If he does not appear now, then the consequences will not only be this, but your little lives. Gu Tongtian said coldly. Long Fei will be tested by the Supreme God. Whoever dares to help him will be going against the palace question of God. All of you listen carefully. As the voice spread, everyone in God Emperor City heard it loud and clear. Fat Man Shun roared, Gu Tongtian, I'll fuck your 18 generations of ancestors. Get the hell down here if you have the guts. He was furious. They did not know what had happened, so why was Long Fei disobedient? Qiu Wandao's brows tightened and said, could it be that even Gu Tongtian was unable to sense Long Fei's position within the God Emperor Fairyland, and only acted because of this? Gu Tongtian's cold smile was imprinted in midair. He did not even look at Fat Man Shun, because of contempt, because Fat Man Shun did not even have the qualifications to be looked at by him. Remember, Long Fei, this is to teach you a small lesson. If you dare disobey me again, you won't end up like this. Finished. Gu Tongtian was ready to disappear. And at this moment, a roar sounded from the sky above God Emperor City. The kind of roar that would make one's heart palpitate exploded, instantly engulfing that huge face of Gu Tongtian's that was complacent. It was incomparably valiant, above Hall of Immortals. Gu Tongtian was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat, and his body became a little weak. That kind of power was too terrifying, and also because of this shock, his lifespan dropped by a few days. Anger raged in his heart. The creatures in the void were too terrifying. Even Gu Tongtian should not be afraid. What should we do? All our preparations are gone. We only have 100,000 immortal crystals left, but there's no one here. No matter how many immortal crystals we have, it's useless. We can't help Long Fei in anything. Fu Shishan woke up and started to blame himself in pain. In the yard, everyone had their heads down. Their hearts were all filled with rage. A lot of people were laughing at them, especially those elders of the Hall of Immortals. Fighting with the palace question of God, he was overestimating himself. What should we do? What can we do on the last day? Song Chantian muttered. The million-strong army of the magic tribe was almost at the bottom of the God Emperor's city. Right now, nothing could be done. This feeling was very uncomfortable. His heart ached as if it had been pressed down by a huge rock. It was an incomparable pain. God Emperor Fairyland. Huff, huff, huff. Long Fei gasped as though he was an ox. Looking at the overwhelming powerhouse, these powerhouse had already reached the immortal realm. Too powerful. None of the Long Fei's could withstand it. As for the three giant demons, they could only barely resist. Even if there were more people, they still wouldn't be able to resist. Crack. Ding. Do you want to release the Xianbao Spirit Stones? Yes, sir. The Xianbao Spirit Stones has been successfully released. The value of the power of Celestial has increased by 1,000,000 points. There are still 6 more Spirit Stones left for me to use. Boom! Turn Yin Long into God. Long Fei instantly turned into the incomparably ferocious flame dragon ancestor, and in that instant he roared in his heart, unparalleled at the 8th level, open. Boom, boom, boom. The fiery energy in his body dispersed into the sky, while Long Fei charged forward regardless of anything else, wildly wreaking havoc because Long Fei saw the end of the God Emperor Fairyland not far away from him. A huge piece of magic stone. There, it should be the boss, the ultimate boss of the God Emperor Fairyland. Chapter 1006, Yuan Xian 9th Pin. Chapter 1006, Yuan Xian 9th Pin, 256 times that of the Purple Flame Dragon Grandmaster's stats had been activated. At this moment, The flame dragon patriarch wreaked havoc, ravaging the powerhouse of the immortal realm. He opened his bloody mouth and bit down on several of the powerhouses of the immortal realm, suddenly biting down, Kacha. Blood dripped from between his teeth. At the same time, Long Fei's devouring vein was frantically devouring the powerhouse's strength, aura, and blood vein-s. Roar. The raging dragon roared. Its humongous body suddenly flipped in the air. The thick flame energy crushed down, sending all the powerhouse flying. Another large group of people rushed forward. They were also protecting the magic stone in the God Emperor Fairyland. On the four sides of the magic stone, there were 8 extremely thick chains that were tightly holding it, as if they were trying to trap a terrifying powerhouse beneath the magic stone. Whose grave is the magic stone buried in? What realm was it? I don't know right now, but I'll know soon. Long Fei roared in his heart. Rumble. Forefather Flame Dragon once again displayed his might and began to madly crush Jiang Chun. Each and every one of these powerhouses were extremely powerful existences. Although their health was not as frightening as the Supreme God's 1 billion points, it still reached 130 million points. Even the power of the Turn Yin Long into God was not enough to instantly kill them. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing level 5 Immortal Powerhouse for obtaining 50,000 experience, 20,000 power of celestial points, and 1 energy values point. It doesn't explode. The experience points was 5 million apiece. Kill. Flame Dragon Burning Heaven. Boom! Long Fei roared in his heart, and also summoned his sky-burning dragon gun. The power of burning heaven on the dragon's spear fused with the flames on the flame dragon's body, and streams of flaming golden light charged out, forming numerous powerful dragon spear phantoms that shot down explosively. Swish, swish, swish. Those powerhouses were nailed to the ground by the dragon's spear mirages. A long string of damage floated out from above their heads, and at this moment, Long Fei's body moved, flickering flame dragon tail. He swung his tail. It was as if the heavens were split and the earth was split as it smashed down heavily. Rumble! Those powerhouses that were nailed to the ground were crushed to pieces. The system beep exploded. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing level 5 Immortal Powerhouse for obtaining 50,000 experience, 20,000 power of celestial points, and 1 energy values point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at the 8th level of the Yuan CNS. He had leveled up. Long Fei had fully recovered his health point and power of Celestial S, and the injuries on his body had also healed instantly. The power of the 8th stage Yuan Xian gushed into his body. Long Fei became stronger. Not enough. Not enough. It's far from enough. Long Fei screamed in his heart, and he crushed his opponent even more violently. Like a mad demon, his every nerve was stretched taut, becoming stronger, and becoming an existence that could crush Gutan Tian. When Gutan Tian threatened him with Nantian Region's family, he had already touched upon the weakest nerve in Long Fei's heart. No matter what, Long Fei had to overturn Gutan Tian and Palace Question of God. The only way was to level up and become stronger. What happened in Nantian Region? Long Fei did not know. But since Gutan Tian had said those words, Long Fei believed that Gutan Tian had made a move on his family. If it was Gutan Tian who did it, then everything made sense because Nantian Region's martial arts training was too weak, and he of the Flying Fairyland could easily crush him with a small finger. But was the Nantian Region controlled by Gutan Tian? No, it was just that Long Fei did not know. In the entire God's martial continent, who would dare to make a move against the Nantian Region? What was the purpose of making a move on the Nantian Region? Long family? Or was it the Dragon Domain? All of these were unknown, and only by returning to the Nantian Region would he know what happened. But what Long Fei needed to do now was to level up and break through the God Emperor Fairyland. He did not have much time left. He only had a few hours left before the time for the monsters to attack the city. Long Fei's heart tensed. He gritted his teeth, seeing those immortal realm powerhouse who were charging forward once again. He moved his dragon head and roared, charging forward. Time. It was extremely urgent. The establishment of the gods' martial sect, the monster siege system triggered by the system. How strong would it be? Long Fei did not know. But he knew clearly in his heart that no one in the gods' martial continent would have thought of the demon beast attacking the city. If he did not rush back immediately, the God Emperor's city would definitely fail, and, at that time, all 50 people in God's martial sect would be killed, including himself. Killed. 3 hours later, Long Fei regained his real face look. Supporting his knees with both of his hands, he gasped for breath heavily. At this moment, his cultivation had already reached the 9th stage of the Yuan Xian. 3 days ago, he was still at the 9th stage of the Golden Immortal stage, but now, he was at the 9th stage of the Yuan Xian. This leveling speed was incomparable. However, Long Fei was still not satisfied. Even if one reached the fitted realm, the difference in power between them and the flying fairyland was just too big, an existence that was completely stomped over. 3 days and 3 nights without a second's rest. Long Fei's body was exhausted, but he could not stop. In the last grave, after killing the powerhouse, he would be able to pass through the God Emperor Fairyland and receive the system's special reward. This would also mean that his power of celestial value had increased to 1,000,000 points. Hoo. Long Fei exhaled a breath of air. Looking at the gigantic, soaring magic stone, the aura emitted by the magic stone felt like it was in hell. Yan Huang Ancestor said, "Brat, the aura released by this magic stone is too terrifying." And this magic stone. Yan Huang Ancestor was silent for half a second. Although he was unwilling, he still spoke straightforwardly. "This magic stone is a spirit treasure, but I do not know what it is called or what kind of power it possesses." This was a huge blow to the Yan Huang Ancestor. There were still things in the god's martial continent that he did not understand. It was truly a blow to him. However, something that even the Yan Huang Ancestor could not understand also meant that this magic stone was a super powerful holy artifact. Long Fei's heart began to boil. Something that even you can't understand must definitely be good stuff. Hee. That would be even more so if we were to blow it up, Yan Huang Ancestor said. "Brat, you better think about it carefully. This piece of magic stone is a ferocious beast. Once it is activated, the consequences will be..." Without waiting for Yan Huang Ancestor to finish, Long Fei had already walked out, and the dragon's salure in his hands descended, slashing at an incomparably thick chain. "Break from me." There was no way for him to consider the consequences. There were only 2 hours left before dawn, and the monsters were about to attack the city. He had no time. He could only leave after opening up the God Emperor Fairyland. Long Fei. There was no way out. "Don't be terrified." "Exactly." Rumble. One of the chains broke, and the silver-green runes on the magic stone began to flicker unstably. Chapter 1007. The Ultimate Boss, Han Ba. Chapter 1007. The Ultimate Boss, Han Ba. Boom! Yet another chain was severed. The magic stone began to tremble. The sound of heavy breathing came from below the magic stone. Even if the 10,000-year-old giant had awakened, it still seemed to be breathing air. Boom! The third chain broke. The magic stone was on the verge of collapse, but the aura it was emitting was surging. Break! 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 There was only one left, and it was also the thickest chain. At this time, the magic stone seemed to have become silent, and even the aura of the magic stone had disappeared, returning to its original state. This was not disappearing, but the calm before the storm. It was waiting. They were waiting for the moment it would break out of the earth. Huff, huff, huff. Long Fei held onto the dragon's salure tightly and walked to the last chain. The Yan Huang Ancestor still tried to persuade him and said, "You have to think carefully. I can't even deal with the fellow down there. Patriarch, there is no path of retreat for my Tao." Long Fei raised his blade and cut down. "Break for me." Crack! The chain snapped, and the aura of the magic stone fiercely exploded out. An explosive sound rang in the air, and a powerful energy formed a shockwave that shot out, placing itself on a Long Fei's body before he could even react. A mouthful of blood sprayed out. Long Fei's body was sent flying several kilometers away. Cracks appeared on his chest, and the wound was deep enough to see bones. Even old ancestor Jin's defenses were instantly destroyed. At this moment, the fresh blood that Long Fei spat out was absorbed by the magic stone. The fresh blood flowed down along the twisted runes on the magic stone and was finally completely absorbed into the grave. A red light flashed. The grave split open, and waves of crimson light shone through the cracks. The magic stone also began to tremble violently. The seal runes on the magic stone released sets of intense light waves. However, he couldn't suppress it. 8 chains were severed, and the power of the seal was destroyed. The magic stone cannot take it. Crack! A crack appeared in the magic stone, and eerie, ghostly wails came out from the crack. Oh! Uh-huh! Thousands of ghosts roared. Cracks appeared on the magic stone, and the seal array on it was completely destroyed. The power of the runes started to dissipate. Rumble! With a loud bang, the magic stone flew up into the sky. Landing on the ground, a deep pit appeared. The aura of the magic stone all disappeared, and the magic stone turned into a normal-looking stone tablet. The grave burst out. Boom! A man that looked like a dried corpse slowly crawled out from the grave. His entire body was like a skeleton. His hair was sparse. His face was snow white. 2 fangs were in his mouth, and on his stomach there was a big mouth. The moment he climbed out of the grave, the ground began to burn. The ground began to heat up. Seeing his figure, Long Fei thought of a boss that had appeared in the game in his previous life. Hanba, zombie ancestor, the god of drought that the ancient gods fused into one. An incomparably terrifying existence. Also at this moment, Long Fei's heart trembled, looking at the purple gold light on Hanba's body. This boss was a purple gold boss, an existence surpassing any gold boss above the purple light. He could feel the aura emitted by Hanba. It was the first time in Long Fei's life that he felt fear, because Hanba was really too strong. The aura emanating from his body was completely unstoppable. However, at the same time, Long Fei was also excited, the ultimate boss in the God Emperor Fairyland. What kind of thing can he drop? Wow, this is too exciting. Explode him. In an instant, Long Fei's fear was immediately seized by his madness. Seeing this super big boss, if he did not destroy it, then would he still have the face to meet others in the future? Then what the F***K was he doing? Moreover, the experienced Long Fei knew very well that if he treated this as a game, the first time he came here was to trigger the skill exchange system. There was no quest to open up the God Emperor Fairyland. It was obvious that this was the first time he did not have the ability to do so. This was the second time he had entered. If the system triggers a SS Grey quest, then that means there must be a way to kill it. Otherwise, it was impossible for the system to trigger the task. There must be a way. Long Fei's mind tensed up. His mind started to work frantically. At this moment, Hanba exhaled a breath of profound chi towards the sky, his figure low and deep, then said, "No one can suppress me. No one can't stop me. Do you think you can just leave the seal here? Ha ha! No one could trap me. Ha ha!" Laughing wildly, the entire God Emperor Fairyland trembled. The God Emperor Fairyland was the most special existence of the gods' martial continent. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions of years, these powerhouses' graves were placed here, and as long as someone dug out the grave, they would automatically rush out. In truth, all of this was to stop them from opening Hanba's tomb, just to prevent it. Their graves were also a type of formation seal. Thousands of powerhouses' graves were all for the sake of suppressing Hanba. Powerhouse's tomb was exterminated by Long Fei. The first level of the seal was broken. 8 pieces of the meteoric iron god chain were cut off, and the second level of the seal was broken. Magic stone suppressed the seal, the strongest one. It was also because of the rupture. The most crucial point, the mouthful of refined blood that Long Fei spat out sprinkled onto the magic stone, causing its power to be severely damaged. The magic stone's blood was absorbed by Han Ba, and as his power crazily recovered, the magic stone broke apart, and all of the seal in Han Ba's tomb was broken through. Just as Han Ba was laughing maniacally, Long Fei crawled up from the ground. In his mind, he was thinking, "I'm going to blow you up." It was also because of this thought. Han Ba's eyes became angry and his pupils became tense. He grabbed at the air with his 5 fingers. "You petty person! How dare you be so impudent in front of me, Han Ba? You overestimate yourself." Chua! Before Long Fei could even stabilize himself, he was already restricted by an extremely strong force. He was stuck in place as his body crazily shot out, and he was completely crushed by the force, unable to move at all. It was extremely uncomfortable. Bang! Long Fei was sucked in his palm by Han Ba. With a light raise of his hand, he directly sent Long Fei into the air. "A trash like you? You want to touch me too?" At this moment, the profound qi, blood, and energy in Long Fei's body were frantically being absorbed, and he was also dying. Too strong. Han Ba's strength was simply too strong, even if he had been trapped here for millions of years by the seal. Even the god's martial continent was born for the sake of the seal. In such a long period of time, the moment Seal woke up, his power was still far from being able to recover a tenth of his power. But who is he? The zombie ancestor of the ancient gods, Han Ba from the drought god. He was too strong. A tenth of a power would be enough to easily crush anyone. In front of nothing. Am I going to die? Am I going to die? Chapter 1008, Mutual Devour. Chapter 1008, Mutual Devour. It was very hard. It was extremely uncomfortable. It was 10,000 times worse than death. All of his profound qi, strength, and aura were losing out crazily. This kind of feeling was like drawing his blood and eating his flesh, and it was even a little bit at a time. This kind of pain was unbearable to anyone. Even Long Fei was about to clench his teeth together and break it. Yin Huang ancestor was also terrified. His strength was also being drained. The power of the 14th dragon ancestor was also draining away. All of the energy in Long Fei's body was being drained. Golden Dragon Master said, "Azure Dragon, hurry up and think of a way. I'm almost unable to hold on." Golden Dragon Master was desperately trying to protect Long Fei's mind. If not for his protection, Long Fei's sea of consciousness would have been sucked dry and turned into a corpse. Sea Dragon King said in shock, "Azure Dragon, is he the Han Ba who entered the reincarnation cycle tens of millions of years ago in the divinity? Why was he here? Why is Seal here? Could it be that someone was trying to do it intentionally?" Sea Dragon King, now is not the time to talk about this. We should just think about how to break through Han Ba's power. Ghost Dragon said loudly, "Why God's martial continent? Could it be that the God's martial continent is hiding some secret?" Sea Dragon King was curious. Han Ba, the super powerhouse of the divinity, his strength was stronger than the dragon's. Why was it in the God's martial continent? Being still in the seal here, the tombs of the powerhouse were being placed one after another to contain his power, and were also replenishing his essence energy. Even if he was in the seal, he would remain an indestructible existence for billions of years. And it was the seal, or even nourishment. What was it? Why did you raise him here? Also, tens of millions of God's martial continent, in the span of 100 million years, without a single powerhouse that succeeded in transcending the tribulation. The fallen powerhouse of the flying fairyland were all buried here. Or could it be that someone had forcefully suppressed them and did not allow the God's martial continent to undergo tribulation in order to break through the void? Or was it, what if he needed the nourishment to feed Han Ba's profound qi? Everything was too hard to explain. The dragon race led by Yuan Long had accidentally barged into the God's martial continent. They thought that they were the only people that were able to enter the God's martial continent. But they were wrong. Long ago, 1,000,000 years ago, there was Han Ba who was given the seal. This, even the Yuan Long did not know. Sea Dragon King, thinking about this is useless. I better think a way to break through Han Ba's restraints. Poisonous Ancestor said while gasping for breath. His cultivation was the weakest, his absorption was the fastest, his body could not even take it anymore. If this continued, they would be completely sucked into Han Ba. It was also at this time. Yin Huang Ancestor and Green Dragon Ancestor shouted at the same time. Long Fei, use your devouring vein to absorb his profound qi. Yi Zichen's words woke the man from his dreams. Long Fei seemed to have suddenly awakened from the brink of death. Excitement flashed past his eyes as he glared at the extremely ferocious Han Ba and roared, "Absorb this daddy. This daddy will also absorb your strength." Ah! Level 8 Peerless, open. Long Fei roared. At this time, he couldn't care so much anymore as he grabbed Han Ba's arm with one hand and roared in his heart. The strength of the devouring vein. Explode for me. Buzz. The devouring vein's power started to circulate. It began to frantically devour. Also at this moment, various types of powerful energies drilled into Long Fei's body. All sorts of scenes were playing out. The four walls were everywhere, and the sky was filled with dried corpses. Flames burned the sky. It was an extremely terrifying scene where Han Ba was incomparably arrogant, unbridled existence. That kind of unbridled power, even in the divinity, was the absolute overlord of an overlord, much stronger than the dragon race. He killed far too many people, followed where he died, and was finally blown apart by the power of the heavenly scourge. The next scene, even in the endless abyss of darkness, Han Ba roared again and attacked again, but he was still unable to break through the restraints. That kind of pain was even more miserable than the pain Long Fei was experiencing right now. It really is the divinity's Han Ba. We should have entered the reincarnation channel billions of years ago. Why isn't there one? What kind of plot is hidden? Divinity. It's a lot more complicated than we imagined. Could it be related to the tribulation of our dragon clan? It seems like I have to go back to the divinity to clarify this. They could also see what Long Fei could see. There was no coincidence in the world. Han Ba had not been sent into the reincarnation seal in the gods' martial continent, and it was also a coincidence that they had entered the low realm called the gods' martial continent. Their original route had not been to the gods' martial continent, but to another higher plane. But now, the Green Dragon Ancestor was also silent. Everything had become extremely strange. What kind of shocking conspiracy was hidden in the divinity? However, and why did Long Fei enter the God Emperor Fairyland? Why did he break Han Ba's seal and release him? All of this was controlled. The 14th Dragon Ancestor came from the divinity, so they knew some things that had happened in the divinity. Han Ba had entered the cycle of reincarnation under the judge of a magistrate. There was no doubt that someone was hiding something. They know. But what Long Fei wanted to do now was to blow Han Ba up. Who cares what divinity, what conspiracy? He just wanted to explode. The circulation of the devouring vein gave Long Fei a slight chance to catch his breath, but this was not enough to cause any harm to Han Ba, and there was contempt in Han Ba's eyes as well. Don't you know that I can even burn the sky? Ha! You want to compete in devouring power with me? Are you even worthy? Buzz! The aura of strength on Han Ba exploded outwards. An even more powerful force surged out. Long Fei also understood very clearly that the devouring vein in his body was still at level 0. It was simply impossible for it to compete with Han Ba in devouring energy. He was not his match at all. He had to break away from Han Ba no matter what. In that instant, Long Fei turned the energy he had absorbed from Han Ba into an attack and suddenly erupted. Rumble. Backlash. An incomparably strong force directly exploded and broke one of Han Ba's hands, sending him flying as well. He violently threw the hand that was grabbing onto his neck, and his body sank. This time, no matter what, he could not be absorbed by Han Ba. It escaped Han Ba's control. More than half of Long Fei's profound qi and blood essence disappeared. Long Fei, who was originally extremely exhausted, now had an extremely pale face, just like a person who had reached the end of his life. Han Ba's severed arm did not have any expression, because in the next second after it was broken, his arm instantly grew back out, and with a cold smile on his face, he stared at Long Fei, who was in the distance, and revealed a devilish sneer. Swallowing my strength, use my strength as an attack again. Interesting, interesting. Then it's mine. Shwa. Han Ba disappeared. Chapter 1009, Bloodlust. Chapter 1009, Bloodlust. Han Ba disappeared. Too fast. There was no trace of movement. Yin Huang Ancestor also could not react in time. 14th Dragon Ancestor, and the others were also the same. Reaction. Han Ba was too strong. However, Long Fei did not react. In terms of speed, strength, and reaction speed, Long Fei was not his match either. He knew very well that if he wanted to kill this boss, he would need to rely on normal means. The idea connected to the Xianbao spirit stones. Open for me. Buzz. After 1,000,000 power of celestial points entered his body, the Xianbao spirit stones only had 5 chances left. Long Fei did not care about all this. The moment he got 1,000,000 power of celestial points, he roared out, Sky Dragon Divine Transformation Art. Activate for me. Roar. Long Fei's body instantly transformed into an ancient dragon. The thick dragons might crush the void as it crazily rushed out. In that moment, his reaction had also caught up to Han Ba. Rumble. The two of them collided against each other. Ancient dragons? Green Dragon Ancestor was shocked. 14th Dragon Ancestor was completely shocked. Ancient dragons. There were no ancient dragons in the Dragon Clan of God's Martial Continent. Only the Dragon Clan of Divinity had the ancient dragon's bloodline, and the amount was extremely small. How could Long Fei transform into ancient dragons? They didn't understand. Han Ba also shivered slightly, his brows knitted slightly. Ancient dragons? Interesting. Since the dragon blood can help me recover a lot of my profound chi, I will swallow you up. Crimson Flame Berserk. Buzz. Han Ba's body moved, and a huge storm came crashing over. This was the power of a disaster. Flame disaster. Yin Huang Ancestor warned, Brat, you can't hold on. 14th Dragon Ancestor also shouted, Boss, dodge this move. Han Ba, the god of calamity. His greatest strength was the power of disaster. Just as he had said, he could even burn the sky. This was his power. The power of the heavenly dragon divine transformation art was much stronger than the turn Yin Long into God. He had imagined that the power of the heavenly dragon would definitely be able to block Han Ba. The heavenly dragon transformation art was Long Fei's strongest technique. He was also his strongest trump card. If even the heavenly dragon transformation art could not resist him, then he really would not be able to kill Han Ba. This was the only thing he could think of to deal with Han Ba. Boom. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The Scarlet Flame Vicious Bear's power collided with the incomparably huge Sky Dragon. Explosions continued to ring through the void. The entire God Emperor Fairyland was shaking. It was extremely unstable and could not withstand the impact of this kind of power. The surroundings were collapsing bit by bit, this secret world. It was on the verge of rupturing, and at the same time, a pair of dark green eyes shone in the void. Domain Beast. Domain Beast S that devour dimensions. Long Fei had felt the existence of Domain Beast in the Deathland. Who would have thought? Once again, he saw the incomparably terrifying Domain Beast. It only appeared for one reason, to swallow the god Emperor Fairyland. Boom! The ancient dragons was knocked away. Its gigantic body dropped from the sky and hit the ground, spitting out blood essence again and again. It was extremely uncomfortable. All the dragon scales on its body looked like they were about to split open. The dragon's body was dripping with blood. Han Ba's eyes darkened. He had only taken half a step back. But this half step was an insult to him. Ancient dragons? It's just a little bug. If you dare to challenge me and fight with me, I'll let you know my strength. Han Ba was enraged and completely ignored the Domain Beast, which was slowly devouring in the air. Instead, it instantly rose into the air and heavily smashed down towards the ancient giant dragon that was on the ground. Not a match. Even if he was an ancient dragon's, he still wouldn't be Hanba's match. Moreover, not only was he not a match for Hanba, in front of Hanba, the ancient dragons had no power to retaliate. Too powerful. Hanba was simply too strong. Long Fei's strongest move was not his opponent. He could not think of any other way to go against Hanba. Watching Hanba smashing down with the power of the Scarlet Flame, Long Fei felt extremely unresigned in his heart and extremely dissatisfied. He roared. He released all the defenses he had in his body. Hanba sneered, "Fight against me? You? It's simply not qualified." As soon as his voice faded, an extremely powerful force rolled down and struck the dragon head from above. Crack! Sky Dragon's defense simply could not defend against it. Hanba stuck his hand to the dragon's head, and a powerful force immediately followed. "I'm going to beat you back to your original body." Boom! In Hanba's eyes, the ancient dragon's was just a little bug. He had only recovered a tiny bit of his cultivation. If it was the Hanba at his peak, idea at his peak, he could already make the ancient dragons kneel on the ground and not be able to move. Bang, bang, bang. The ancient dragon's body was continuously smashed until it bounced off, and the entire God Emperor Fairyland was deathly still. Moreover, every time Sky Dragon's body bounced back, the area around him shrank. In just a few seconds, Sky Dragon's body reverted back to its original form, returning back to Long Fei's appearance. He fell into the deep pit not too far away from the magic stone, with black blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth. Ding! System notification. Player's health point is too low. Please supplement. Ding! System notification. Player's health point is too low. Please supplement. Ding! System notification. Player's health point is too low. Please supplement. The system's alarm sounded. Long Fei's health point was dropping. He had been completely massacred, and even his strongest heavenly dragon transformation skill was useless. Is there any other way? Is there any other way? There must be a way. I haven't thought of it yet. There must be. Long Fei laid in a pool of blood. His entire body was in incomparable pain, but he did not give up, and even if Hanba could kill him in one move right now, he did not give up. There must be a way. What was it? Where did he miss it? Long Fei's mind kept on thinking. At this time, within the call system, "Master, let me go. Master, let me go as well." Galen and Nox began their battle. However, Long Fei did not agree. The two of them were not Hanba's match, so if they died, the two of them would be like him and would disappear forever. The giant demon also loudly said, "Boss, let me out." "Me too." Laimo, the earth demon, was also asking for a fight. They couldn't even deal with the powerhouse of the flying fairyland. So how could they be a match for Hanba? A golden purple boss. Want to kill him? It was too difficult. The more it was at this time, the calmer Long Fei became. Hanba walked over step by step. His eyes were filled with contempt and cold. It's already not bad for a low-realm warrior to be able to do such a thing. You should feel honored, because you're the first person I killed on this trash plane. You should be glad. Hanba grew closer and closer. At the same time, the magic stone not far from Long Fei began to shine. Long Fei was startled. "I got it. Bedevilment." Chapter 10:10, The Strongest Strike, Instant Death. Chapter 10:10, The Strongest Strike, Instant Death. A flicker of light came from the magic stone, causing Long Fei's heart to tighten. What is a magic stone? The location of the weapon that was used to suppress Hanba. If the God Emperor Fairyland was a seal Hanba's array, then the magic stone was the core of the array and also the strongest power. As long as it could use all of its strength, it would definitely be able to defeat Hanba. One thing goes down, one thing goes down. Everything in the world was the same. Hanba was also a great furnace in the world, so there was power that he was afraid of. Bedevilment. Buzz. Long Fei's health point was already too low, to the point where he couldn't even withstand a single bit of Hanba's pressure. Her hair was blood red. The demonic flame burned. The black bones on his body pierced through his body one by one. The sky demon's appearance had changed completely, becoming incomparably ugly. This was the side effect of cultivating the god's bone taboo, but, for the sake of strength, even if he turned into a monster, so what? In that instant, 1,000 points disappeared as Long Fei transformed into the sky demon. At this moment, Long Fei roared as his scarlet devil flames burned crazily. God's bone taboo, level 8, open for me. Ah! The bones in his body thickened, and the energy stirring within his body seemed to want to break through the god's devil body. It was extremely powerful, incomparably powerful. God's bone taboo, 8th floor. Unleashing his strength. On the god's devil body's back, bones were frantically condensing, and fresh blood madly flowed out. A few seconds later, the black bones were condensed together, forming a pair of huge wings, of black bone wings. With the demonic flame, with the aura of death. It also carried that kind of terrifying power of taboos. It was as if Lucifer's wings. Hanba was slightly stunned as he stared at the black bone wings on Long Fei's back and muttered, "This power." They seemed to have met somewhere before. They had been separated for such a long time. He couldn't remember where they had met, but you little trash sure have a lot of tricks on your body. You've transformed into a dragon and a god, and now you've become a demon. So what's the use of creating such a thing? I told you before, you were going to be the first person I killed after the breaking through the seal, so you should be glad. No matter what Long Fei transformed into, Hanba would not put him in his eyes. Because, disdain, Long Fei simply didn't have the qualifications. He also did not place the god's martial continent in his eyes at all. After he kills Long Fei, he will make the god's martial continent a dead world. 8 layers of the forbidden area, black bone wings. Long Fei's body faintly sank, revealing sharp teeth. He grinned excitedly. The one feeling lucky should be you, because this is the first time I use my devil body to kill someone since I entered the immortal domain. You're the first. Indeed, after Long Fei entered the immortal domain, he did not use his heavenly demon body to kill people. However, Long Fei's real face became stronger, and his heavenly demon body also became stronger, training the power of God's bone taboo time and time again, assaulting higher levels time and time again, causing God's devil body to become incomparably strong. The reason why Long Fei did not use the God's devil body was not because he was weak, but because this was his last line of defense. Moreover, this was the size that the magic stone gave him. After Long Fei transformed into the sky demon, he felt that the faintly moving energy in his body and a type of energy from the magic stone were linked together, perfectly blending together. He was like a family member whom he had not seen for a long time. Was it the power of a heavenly demon? Or was it the power of the god's bone taboo? What exactly is a magic stone? What power was hidden inside him? This fusion was simply too perfect. Unbelievable. Long Fei didn't have the time to think about it. He didn't have the time. It was already dawn. In other words, after 3 days, the attacks from the monsters in God Emperor City had begun. If they couldn't kill Hanba now and rush out of God Emperor Fairyland, then the God Emperor City would definitely fall apart. He ate King Kong, and the 40-odd people around him would all be killed. Long Fei roared as the idea entered the magic stone's body from the crack and said, "I don't care what kind of power you are, and I don't care how you and the power of the god's bone taboo fused so perfectly with everything. Since you're suppressing Hanba, then please release your strongest power." "Fine, I beg you, word for word." With a hum from the magic stone, a silver-green light suddenly burst out. At this moment, the power inside the sky demon's body also started to move restlessly as it erupted with power. The blood-eye stared at Hanba and said, "Come, I will definitely overturn you." Hanba's gaze tensed up. At this time, even if he was any calmer, he would still be unable to endure a little. The reason was that the power that erupted from the magic stone was much stronger than the power that suppressed him back then. Hanba was still disdainful. "I don't believe that you can control the power of the magic stone. Even I can't control the power of the god's Stella Stone. That's impossible. The magic stone is called the god's Stella Stone. It was the same power as the heavenly bone. Their powers all belonged to the heavens. Who cares about the god's Stella Stone and the Earth Tablet Stone? Long Fei didn't care what Hanba said. Breaking through the void. Too fast. The energy of the god's bone taboo and the energy of the god's Stella Stone fused together and crazily surged within Long Fei's body. Hanba was startled. At first, Long Fei couldn't see his movement trajectory, but now he couldn't see Long Fei's movement trajectory. Both of his eyes became especially gloomy as he howled out in a deep voice, "Burning heaven's scarlet flame, no matter what kind of power you have, you all deserve to die from anger." Buzz! The void was burning. It was as if the sky was burning. The entire God Emperor Fairyland was on fire, causing the tiger-eyed domain beast to become excited as it continued to frantically devour everything in the secret world. The strongest technique. Long Fei didn't have any more time. If he did not kill Hanba now, he would die here. The God Emperor city would also bleed like a river. Monster siege could not be stopped. There was still the army of 1,000,000 magic tribe left at that time. It was difficult for Nantian region to avoid a crack. "I'm going all out." Long Fei's heart sank. "Even if I have to die, I have to charge out." There was no choice. Long Fei didn't have the slightest bit of choice. At this moment, Long Fei roared again, "God's bone taboo. 9th floor, open for me." Buzz! Long Fei's back suddenly grew another 4 wings. His body seemed to have become a skeleton, as if he was a dried corpse that had been sucked dry. 6 wings. Black Angel. Long Fei spat out a mouthful of black blood. The power inside his body was about to burst out of his body. Just a little more. Is the opening of the 10th level of the power of taboos. It was also at this moment. Long Fei moved and immediately lifted the incomparably huge stone tablet in the deep pit. In the blink of an eye, Long Fei held onto the god's Stella Stone with both hands, and with a shift of his 6 wings, the god's bone taboo and the strongest power of the god's Stella Stone exploded forth. He slashed at the top of Hanba's head heavily and roared out. Hanba glared at him furiously. He couldn't react at all. The god's Stella Stone descended, and a long gash on the top of his head dropped to the bottom. Instant kill. The system beeped. Ding! Chapter 1011, Level 10 War Pet. Chapter 1011, Level 10 War Pet. Long Fei moved his body and immediately said, "Release your striking energy value." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Hanba for gaining 2.3 billion experience, obtaining 1,000,000 power of celestial and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the war pet Hanba. The system beep ended here. Long Fei waited for a moment. Both his eyes were in a daze. Damn, system, are you playing with me? The ultimate boss of the God Emperor Fairyland, and even that super powerhouse of some other high-level plane, you actually dropped a war pet for me? Come out. System, damn you, get out here right now. I promise I won't beat you to death. Is there such a thing? Are there any laws? Is there any justice? Is there anyone in charge here? Damn you. Long Fei's heart was filled with pain. From the time he had teleported to now, from the first time he had triggered striking energy value, every time he went berserk, he would have more things dropped. A purple gold boss can only drop 1 war pet? This was asking for Long Fei's life. He desperately tried to kill her, but in the end, this kind of outcome, Long Fei even had the heart to die. This is too darned. Although he was complaining, he still had to face the reality. Long Fei opened the war pet system, and the idea said, activating Hanba's war pet. I want to see how powerful this war pet is. Your father, will throw it away and let it out for you to kill again. Hanba's war pet was activated. War pet. Hanba level, 10,000 divine powers. The power of drought, burning heaven with scarlet flames. Combat power, 100 stars full. Loyalty, 0,00001. Extremely unstable. Extremely high risk of betrayal. Performance 0.00001. Suppressing for billions of years. Recovering cultivation. Only then will you be able to unleash even more power. Description: Hanba is the super powerhouse. The seal is here. Description 2. Level 10,000 Hanba. Use 1/10,000th of your strength. Under the influence of her loyalty, you won't be able to fully display your strength. Description 3. During the usage, you must be careful because the loyalty level is too low. The chance of betrayal is 99%. The higher the loyalty level, the more likely it is to not betray. Looking at the war pet's attributes, Long Fei instantly became excited again. Seeing Hanba's level, his blood started to boil. F***CK, level 10,000, this is heaven-defying. Isn't this too awesome? Long Fei was a little unable to control himself. He started mumbling incoherently. War pet. Under normal circumstances, the level 0 drop would be slowly cultivating from level 0, but this Hanba had directly leveled up to level 10,000. His ferocity was a complete mess. What did level 10,000 mean? It was probably the strongest level. If this wasn't going to be heaven-defying, then what was? When he saw the degree of loyalty and ability to display, Long Fei was not worried at all. The idea moved and entered the war pet space. Looking at Hanba, who was lying down quietly, he smiled. Follow me. I guarantee that I will make you feel good. I promise that I will be able to give you everything you want, and guarantee that I will be able to bring you back to your original world. As soon as he finished speaking, Hanba's eyes stared wide and shouted, With just you? You think you're qualified for me to be your little brother? Humph. Stop dreaming, brat. Long Fei also had a bad temper and said, Hanba, in my war pet space, you are still cocky with me? Do you believe that I will directly kill you? I shall see if I am worthy enough. This was his territory. If he couldn't even decide on his own territory, then what was the point of doing so? Long Fei was extremely unhappy and said, Either you listen to me obediently, I will make you feel good and fly away, or you are slowly decaying in my war pet space. Even if I have to die, I will not summon you out. Rebel? That would mean summoning Hanba. Only then would he have the chance to betray her. I'm just not giving you any chance to fight. Let's see how you turn traitor. You still can't control your own war pet? Hanba was even more unhappy. With flames burning in his eyes, he stared at Long Fei and said solemnly, Brat, don't be too presumptuous. Haha. Sorry, this is how I am. Come out and bite me. If I can beat you once, I can do it again. Do you believe me? Long Fei's face was full of satisfaction. The power of that one move just now was just too powerful. Of course, he had also paid the price with great pain. His body felt as if it had been sucked dry. 6-winged black bones sprouted from his back, and he was in incomparable pain. The energy in his body grew stronger and stronger. As long as he opened the 10th layer of the God's Bone taboo, that energy would break through his shackles. Is he him? I really wonder, what is the strongest power of the God's Bone taboo? Would it be possessed by that power? Long Fei was a little worried. Other than that, the reason why Long Fei was able to kill it in one shot was not only because of the power of the God's Bone taboo, but also because of the power of the God's Stellar Stone. Otherwise, 100,000 Long Fei-s would not be his match. Hanba was so angry that his entire body was trembling. He really wanted to rush out and crush Long Fei. However, it was not possible. He was now Long Fei's war pet, and without Long Fei's summoning, he simply could not leave and would have been completely controlled by Long Fei. Long Fei grinned and laughed excitedly. You sure are cocky. Keep showing off to this daddy. Hanba, don't you know how to act cocky? Aren't you the super powerhouse of divinity? Come, let your father have a look. Hanba was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. When was he humiliated like this? Who would dare to speak to him like that? I'm so unhappy. But there was nothing he could do. Long Fei said, Come follow me honestly. I guarantee that you'll live a good life. But if you like to cause trouble, then I will have you be trapped in my war pet space forever. and spend even longer there than my God Emperor Fairyland. Hanbok glared at Long Fei with the eyes of death. Long Fei completely ignored him and said, "Think about it carefully for yourself." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the SS level quest, Open God Emperor Fairyland. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining level +1, all skills +1, power of celestial value +1,000,000, points +100,000, and this special strength reward. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining special power, God's Stellastone, power of Heavenly Scourge. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for clearing God Emperor Fairyland and obtaining God Emperor Fairyland's secret. God Emperor Fairyland, a mysterious passage that connects to the Outer Space Palace. Outer Space Palace, a ship that transports to another region. You can gain control of the ship by occupying the Outer Space Palace. This was the secret of the God Emperor Fairyland. Outer Space Palace had been around since the day God's Martial Continent was born. It was just that. After the changes in the God's Martial Continent, the movement of its shell, and the appearance of the dragon race after they suffered their first tribulation in the God's Martial Continent, the Outer Space Palace appeared. After the first tribulation in the Long family, the Outer Space Palace appeared again, floating in the sky and absorbing the rich holy source of the God's Martial Continent as its energy source. Damn, God's Martial Continent really has a lot of secrets. Outer Space Palace, skyship? This is bad. Long Fei's mind tensed up. He thought of an important thing. The monster siege had already begun. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.